Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I don't think that we have ever started a Greg Cote Tuesday quite this way, where he's coming in a bit rattled, I would say, because Hee Haw 3 has taken off. He has now declined tour dates.
Wow.
Hee Haw 3 had a paid gig as musicians to tour, expenses paid, turned it down. They're too busy. They're not accommodating requests right now. Greg Cote's in high demand. And he wants his intellectual property, and he's caused a problem at the company, and he doesn't understand the problem he's caused. We'll get to that in a second. He's confused.
You're talking in riddles. I don't cause problems. I solve them.
Right. All right. Well, David Samson insists on coming on because he says you've, violated company policy.
Known problem solver.
David Samson. What's his title with the company?
Right. Good question.
Well, he runs the merch store.
Does he?
Yeah.
Is there an apron on and he's a salesman in a retail store? How does that work exactly?
You have salesmen in retail stores wearing aprons.
Yeah,
Home Depot.
Aprons.
Yeah.
Home Depot, Macy's.
Apron, right. Yeah. Of course. Bring back retail.
Macy's?
Yeah, Macy's, the perfume counter. They have aprons and stuff.
Right.
They
The
put things in
cosmetic.
Exactly right.
They sure do.
What's wrong with cosmetics? Dude?
Yeah. What's wrong with aprons?
Exactly right.
All right. But he doesn't understand that part of it. That's one thing you don't understand.
Okay.
He also doesn't understand that I told him before the show, there is something your son did last week that was very wrong, and you would have been proud of it.
Wow. That's hard to believe. What is it? What'd you do, kid?
I took time off.
As the
He
guy
had to go to New York.
Yeah, but let me tell some people the backstory. He had to go to New York. Mike Ryan had just left his position as executive producer. Company was in a lurch. One day to the next, Chris Cote shouts, "Hey, got to go to New York." And everyone's learning of it, and the company goes into a ditch with your son in charge.
I'd call it 1 week to the next, but you can call it one day to the next.
Well, it was a problem. It created a problem for the executive producer who had left with much fanfare, getting his father's music career off the ground. And 3 days later, Mike Ryan's stuck in the same job he's always in because Chris Cote shirked his responsibilities to go to New York.
But Chris Cote is back, and Mike Ryan's still here.
He's still here. Is that Mike or is that a hologram?
Sounds like great leverage for Chris. He left for 2 days, and everything fell into a ditch.
Right.
I mean,
and that's at some
pulled
point
out,
it's a you problem
what
if this is the guy you're looking at to hold everything together. I mean,
Yeah.
look at this.
Washington.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Father of
He
our
does
country.
look like George Washington today, but that's not George Washington. It's Larry David. And
What?
Yes. It's a good Larry David. It's visually funny. And I was about to come in here today enraged because nobody did the costumes. I've got Nacho Libre under my arm. And I'm like, nope, why will no one pay their punishments? I come in furious and I ask, Stugotz, does he have to pay any punishments? And they say, nope, he's all paid up. He kept getting the golden helmet. He owes nothing. All his punishments are paid. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's paid like 3 in 5 years. One time he's just put on a sweatshirt like Rocky, like he doesn't pay any of his punishments.
You got the costume. I was Rocky that day. Yes.
All paid up. Stugotz is all paid up. I come in here, Nacho Libre, and as I'm ready to yell at Chris Cote, like, hey, who's in charge, Chris? Chris, are you in charge? Child of nepotism. You can't skip work when we need you to be executive producer as we're trying to figure out who the executive producer would be. And this part, Greg Cote, should offend you as an old-timey businessman. If we opened up the job of executive producer to this show, to the media crumbling around us, to anyone in the United States, the line was stretched from here to Dallas on people who want to sit in that seat to run the show so that they could come after Mike and respect all the things we've built around here. Your son flew to New York to do what? To do what? Something that made Stugotz proud, which is not the way Meadowlark should be run.
He did what he had to do, Dano. He did what anyone in his situation would have done.
Okay, so explain this part to the audience. Explain this part. No, because I found out about this, and this is the doubly offensive part. Doubly offensive. While executive producer, he's flying to New York because he's got, this is very Miami, because he's got to go see about some cash.
Kish.
Because he's the big winner when it comes to a pool of people.
Yeah, $500 pool. Like, Dan, you're making a little something out of nothing here.
Yeah, a little bit, just to get some cash.
$500 means more to some people than you, Dan. Like,
right.
You don't even have to report that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd report $500 if I was you.
I report every cent.
Same here.
All right, so
we've said too much.
Does everyone? No, not enough. Not quite enough yet. No, because this is my predicament, Greg Cote, who spawned this child of nepotism over here, who just stumbling his way into executive producer.
Right. Anytime you need somebody to fill in as the executive producer, I'm there for you.
I would love
for you to be our executive producer.
Fantastic.
I really would.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Teach me how to run the board and press what buttons when, and I'm there.
Please try this, Dan.
You think so? You guys think that would go well?
Yeah.
Lucy's saying yes. Put Greg Cote in charge as executive producer today.
Yeah.
Switch seats.
Just show me where the Hakeem's laugh button is, and I'm good. That's all I need to know.
We try to find that
Oh, you
thing.
think that seat's easy?
No, I'm kidding, of course. It's very difficult. Christopher makes it look easy, and he's got big shoes to follow in Mike Ryan. What size shoe do you wear, Mike?
12.
Yeah, see? Big shoes to follow.
Mike, where are you on all of this? Because I brought this to air against your will. I didn't mean to do this to you, but I'm, storming in.
We talked about it before I said I didn't want to, and you still did it. So you didn't need to. It's the very definition of you meaning to is premeditated. I don't want to discuss it because I was genuinely hurt by it. I found out that I was sitting in that chair, a chair that I thought I said goodbye to a week prior. I found out about it the night before. Yeah. I had a babysitter. I had to cut my night short because I found out as a surprise Chris Cote was off to New York doing something that I think he probably could have done during the weekend and not miss shows. But that's okay. Like, that's his prerogative. I'm not here to PTO shame. I think I was more hurt than anything because I've spent 18 years trying to build that position into something desirable. And we haven't prioritized looking outside for a candidate. We're hoping that someone internally ascends and wants it. And
like Greg.
To have a situation where I'm being surprised that I have to sit into it because the communication is such that someone decides, and I understand why it's a solid reason, but I would have thought that chair meant more, so I was a little hurt by it.
You just got to check the schedule a little bit more.
I did.
It was
check
not the day before.
No, I found out about it the day before because there was an email on Sunday that had talent schedule, and I came in on days that I wasn't scheduled for. I had to cancel meetings, but it's fine. At the heart of it, I was just genuinely hurt that this wasn't being treated as the opportunity I thought it would be after all the hard work that I put into it.
Chris, it seems like you told somebody though, right? Like someone before, the night before you left. Like you told someone a week ago. They didn't.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Was
they
it
didn't
a week?
communicate it to Mike.
Was
right.
it what? I think it's not the issue that
the week before was Super Bowl week. It was crazy. We're all coming back. Everyone's drunk for 3 days.
Yeah, the communication, like whatever. I found out the night before I cut my night short. That's fine. That's not a big deal. To me, the part that hurt was this is an opportunity, and it's not being treated as such.
The opportunity to replace someone that isn't gone.
Or go pick up some quiche.
Well,
it was a good excuse.
Okay, but no, this part of it.
I mean, if you want to do the theater of the mind stuff, like we know what's going on here, and I think it's a pretty cool opportunity. And
Sure
quite honestly, like I was hurt by it, and now I'll just prioritize looking at outside candidates.
Oh.
but child of nepotism here is in charge today, and he does look like George Washington. You do look more like a founding father than Larry David, right? And is it the size of your jowls? Is that what's happening here? I don't.
Ooh.
Is that it's more
George
powdered,
Dub?
more powdered wig than cul-de-sac?
You tell me what it is, man. I looked in the mirror and I just like ran away. I was like, nope, don't like this.
Generally, when you impersonate a Larry David, you do it without a beard.
You got to shave. Go shave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Commit.
got to go all the way on an impersonation.
Billy, why were you laughing at Greg as he limped into the studio?
Laugh is, I don't know that that's the right word. Greg's injured. He's playing hurt today. He hurt his knee. It's not my place to put his business out there, but I heard what happened, and it sounded like a trying tale of what happened, how he hurt himself. And did I giggle? Maybe the way he described it, possibly. But we should be commending him for not just being here playing hurt, but also volunteering to step in his son's absence on the days his son can't be in that chair.
Lucy,
if anything, he's a great team player
Thank
here.
you, Billy.
That I feel like, if I understood right what's going on here, he's being set up to be massacred shortly by David Samson, which I don't understand. I really don't.
I don't massacre easily.
Yeah.
I'm taller than Samson.
Yeah.
I could beat him in arm wrestling. He doesn't intimidate me.
Really?
He's a nice dresser,
It's
though.
going to be a
I mean,
physical
he looks
fight.
sharp.
Really, a physical fight.
I would like the idea of
Physical fight.
whatever this dispute comes down to being settled by an arm wrestling contest. I feel
Bring
like
it.
that's fair.
Samson's a rabid spider monkey.
What?
He will climb up your arm and he
What?
will break your arm in pursuit of the things that he wants.
He's never broken an arm.
He could beat me in a marathon.
You
I'll
think
give him that.
you think you could beat David Samson in arm wrestling?
Did you not see what happened to A.J. Burnett?
Pierce
What
nipples,
happened?
AJ Burnett.
AJ
Not
Burnett
surprising.
Arm wrestled Samson.
If you said to me, baseball player from your past that has pierced nipples, AJ Burnett, first name.
Why would anyone say that to you?
It'd be a weird thing to say, but it'd be the first name I'd say back.
You would have an answer, though. You would have an answer. If it came up.
Like, how would that come up? Exactly.
Number
So
two,
someone-
Dallas Braden.
Someone comes up to George Washington and says, "Name a baseball
What do you-
player
I
with
mean,
Pierce nipples."
You would be like, why would someone do that? You're walking down the street as George Washington, and someone comes to you aggressively and says, "Name a baseball player, Pierce nipples," and you go straight to the '90s. AJ Burnett.
AJ Burnett.
It's a random category right there.
Is there a Hall of Fame here? Why are you thinking about these things?
It's a Jeopardy category.
I think it's the tattoos. It connotes nipple ring.
If Jeopardy ever has a category of baseball players with pierced nipples,
How great would
things
that
have fallen off.
AJ Burnett would be like 100.
Daily double.
I don't understand what you're doing, though. Speaking of, I just want to explain to the audience something, Stugotz, because some people here who have listened to us nationally might not know the story of the Florida Panthers and Steve Goldstein and when a voice for a team becomes really a voice for a team during a cool time. Somebody who, when you're hearing his enthusiasm on calls, many of you who grew up with him in the Panthers organization, are hearing your emotion carried with him, and you've watched for long enough to see him become a really excellent broadcaster, like sculpt the skill. Hockey's tough, man. That is a fast sport. And he is clean. No one's got any objections to how Steve Goldstein has mastered his craft, and he's done it 20 years in this market, as hockey has been like a pretty thing for most of those years. And to see him carry that call, let's get that call for Roy and Mike, because they weren't here yesterday when we played it the first time. What a cool moment at the end of this Washington game. Not just to have it end this way, when you know you've got the best team. They're playing all the most fun hockey. Everyone in the sport hates them, but they're exciting, and now they're yours. And the call's coming to you from a grassroots broadcaster who's flying down the ice with you and taking your enthusiasm with him.
Stripped away by Gustav Forsling. Milano again, stripped away by Sam Bennett. The Panthers trying to win it. It's Bennett. It's Forsling. Let's go home, baby! Gus wins it in overtime.
It's musically perfect because of all the history it carries down the ice with it.
The other thing that Goldie does, and he does it so well, because you mentioned he's been calling games for this team, and this team has been lousy for a long time, and Goldie's been right there for it. So what you're hearing in his voice the last couple of years is a guy who has been there with you, with the fans, through the down times, and now is having a blast calling games for this team, because this team is fun, they're young, they're exciting, and he gives that off with every single broadcast.
But he comes from old-timey sports radio in this market when all these guys were kids, and they all grew up with him in this market. Like, it's hard to get out of this market into the national mainstream, and he's done it because he's excellent, and the enthusiasm around this team is real. And I was just curious with Roy and with Mike, you hear that and feel what?
Even before he got the Panthers gig, I worked on his weekend show at 790 The Ticket. This is back when he had hair. He had hair at the time. So to see him, so to see him making these highlight calls like this is just like
it's like watching your kid grow up.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
did you just become Goldie's dad somehow? Like, what's happening here? I remember when I saw a young Goldie every Saturday morning on Sports Bang, and I said, this guy's destined for greatness.
I mean, Roy has been a local observer of Miami sports media more than most, I think. Like, that he's actually viewed Goldstein's career from the bowels of next to Stugotz in sports radio.
Literally worked with him.
I recall when I was a wet behind the ears high school graduate that attended a job fair hosted by the Florida Panthers and then became a sales intern, hopped up on AIM Instant Messenger and New Metal, going to what at the time was the NCRC and seeing Steve Goldstein, who at the time was just an in-arena host giving out-of-town updates, and he would just always be around. He was a grinder that wanted that job from pretty close to the franchise's inception. He's really worked on his craft. He's improved, made a lot of leaps, has also in recent years added a signature call that you've seen there. He's a testament to hard work in this market, because that is very much just hanging around and grinding. He has survived several different administrations over there at the Florida Panthers.
Nobody survives all of those administrations. Like, nobody does. It's hard for – look, forgive me, Mike, you know that organization better than I do, but there's so much turnover there through ownerships that there's always a new grift in town coming to try and make that franchise work. And the last crew now has the best crew, and they're trying to build something different. This is not an organization of lifers. One of the things I want to point out about last night, like the Heat win again, okay, Stugotz on the road 4 in a row. They do it at Sacramento, and Bam says to everybody, nah, Sabonis, like, no, I'm better at this than you are. The Heat, with whatever they throw at you, do something that is taken for granted in this market. They always matter. Sacramento, look at their past. They're never any good. You don't get to go through administrations always being relevant. When Stephen A. Smith is going back and forth with the Pelicans and he's saying, in 22 years, you guys have won 2 playoff series. Like, it is hard to do what the Heat do with whoever it is that they have. And I'm watching the Panthers come into this sphere and be something exciting from Broward that's different, but that's not a crew of lifers. That's not a crew like the Heat's crew is a Heat
Well,
crew.
on the broadcast, certainly they are. Moeller and Goldstein, I would dub as Panther lifers. Red Deer was brought in very early on in the franchise history. Goldie was around for, decades at this point. So the broadcast team has absolutely grown up with you, and I think that they do.
On both teams, by the way.
But with a franchise that has so little history, at least in the broadcast booth, you have people that you know have been with this franchise for the vast majority of their professional careers, and they truly love it. And it shows in the broadcast, I think.
Greg Cote get moved by this stuff?
I do. Goldstein has paid his dues in this market, worked his way up, and I want the voice of my team to be honest at all times. Like when the team sucks, I want the play-by-play guy or the voice of the team to reflect that, to reflect how the fans are feeling. And right now the Panthers are the best they've ever been and the best in the league. And I want a homer voice at this time in Panthers history. I want that.
You want Steve Goldstein.
Yes, I want that because it reflects how great this team has become.
Did Goldie die?
No.
I just thought it was a cool call.
Yeah.
Great call.
It's
yes.
good.
2 days,
baby.
You know what
And
he
for
has?
Forsling to bounce back from that injury, so cool.
He has a great hockey voice.
Yeah.
He does.
Chucky's back tonight, by the way.
Nothing worse than watching a hockey game with a guy calling the game who doesn't have a great hockey voice.
He doesn't have this classic hockey voice, though.
No.
He's got a very unique voice for play-by-play, especially in that sport. And he is a South Florida guy. So it's really cool. And I think he's risen to the level of getting close to national prominence. I've seen over the last few years him get the occasional national gig.
He's called multiple Olympics on the radio.
Yeah.
Am I missing something
Goldie's
here?
gang.
Doesn't when you ask about Steve, you're asking about an accent. There's some New York in his accent.
Yes.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's been down here in South Florida for, 30-plus years at this point?
But to be a voice in hockey, there aren't that many of them, right? These are cool broadcasting jobs. Like, I don't know if people have been noticing also locally, Jorge Sedano is now learning the craft of how to do play-by-play all over the place because he wants to be versatile as the media changes. Like, to ride one of these rockets as a broadcaster, you get to go along for the ride in a way that also helps you economically. More people are hearing you. They're listening to your story. They start to know your story. You develop a connection with the team. Oh, this guy rides with them from there, the same way Eric Reed rides with the Heat from back there, where he slices Doc Rivers the other day with, it's a lot easier talking under the headsets, Doc Rivers, as you coach the Bucks, giving your opinions. Eric Reed saying that slices more because you know it's a voice that is courteous and decent, but also just slaughterhouse Homer. Like slaughterhouse Homer. Like, okay, we're going to ride this, and you don't like our team? We'll ride the magical carpet ride of Eric Reed and Steve Goldstein are going to gallop into the galaxy being Homerific for the rest of your lives.
Unless you're Trip Tracy of the Carolina Hurricanes, who wants to celebrate Matthew Tkachuk getting yanked from a game because of injury. Disgusting display. And his apology, if you can call it that, wasn't really one at all. He set a really bad example for the youth of America.
Hockey broadcaster.
Yeah, well, I got the memory of an elephant, Mr. Tracy.
Stugotz once called Mike Greenberg Goldie.
I do like that idea, Goldie. Goldie. Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
It was
kind of a name is Trip.
I can't believe we smuggled that sound away from ESPN that it wasn't so valuable to them.
I do like that idea, Goldie. Goldie. Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
That's our intellectual property. We smuggled it away. That's Stugotz on ESPN.
Why did I stop and explain?
Goldie.
Because you couldn't believe you were tap dancing with Goldberg. Those were the heights. Those were the heights of.
I was tap dancing with Greeny. That's a fun.
Goldberg.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Goldstein.
Goldberg.
Greenberg, Goldberg. A lot going on there for you, Dano.
The hammer.
Hammer time.
I do like that idea, Goldie. Goldie. Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
Kicked Bret Hart in the head, ended his career.
Yeah.
Reckless Wrestler had appeared.
Bill Goldberg.
Fake Stone Cold Steve Austin.
My favorite thing in pro wrestling is how much Bret Hart hates Bill Goldberg. He even insists on calling him Bill Goldberg because he knows he hates that instead of just Goldberg. Got kicked in the head by Bill Goldberg. Cost me $17 million.
What's the matter, Dan? You got Hank confused with Greedy, Goldie confused with...
Yes, that's what's the matter. That's all.
It happens, man.
I know, but so I've got a fine on Goldberg.
$35. I counted 7 fines. Are you really digging into your wallet? You still have a wallet. Look at you.
So, Greg, you're about to go up head-to-head with Samson in a couple minutes, right? Are you prepared? Like, what, Dan, what advice can you give him? Because I feel like he's being set up for a blindside
help me
here.
out
You know what's going on, but Greg doesn't. Right. You have the information here. You're leading him to a slaughter.
I don't know what's going on. I've asked Chris. Samson's insisted on coming on because we've got a legitimate problem on our hands, and I don't know the depths of it. Chris, do you? Because Samson insists on coming on to talk to Greg about it on air.
I just got a text. I need to come on tomorrow. It's business.
Wow.
And
nothing personal.
He didn't even say nothing personal. He was just like, business. Got to talk to your dad.
Wait and see.
Okay, 9:27. Like, I don't know more than that.
Why don't you just call him? Like, you guys could call each other.
I don't know what the allegation is. I have no idea.
Greg, I will say this. Regardless of the allegations, I side with you.
Thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate that.
I don't need a single detail. I side with Greg Cote.
Thank you.
Can we decide this based on vote? Like, if not arm wrestling, can votes decide how this ends? It is election season, Dan.
Sure, but what is that going to prove to anybody?
Nothing. You're in charge, so we just ask you, can we decide it via votes?
I mean, it depends on what the accusation is.
Yes.
John Rocker would also be on my list.
Pierce nipples?
Billy, I have a concern here as we onboard David Samson here shortly because I've got a problem. Like, we run the company, but Samson runs the merch store. I said last week, and this is genuine, what Greg did to me didn't feel terribly fair, where he's texting me, hey, I want to put merch up on my store. Give me an answer. I just want to make sure it's cleared. My people are worried, but I'm just checking in. What should I do? And 27 hours later, I said, check with our COO. And then he said, nope, ship sailed. I already did it. And now things are for sale. And now I've got a problem where David Samson's bothering me with shit I don't want to worry about because LeBatardAF.com is just a little place that was meant to pay some employees some extras, and it's turned into this ugly thing that's now run like a business.
But Greg was asking you. He wanted a quick answer. He made that very clear.
Yes.
27 hours later does not work for Greg
Oh,
Cote.
yeah, evidently not fast enough.
COB, Dan.
Got to be more prompt.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's what happened, and we'll bring on David Samson in just a second.
A what?
A second. Thank
Okay.
you, Roy.
Oh.
But Billy, Greg has had his foot up on the table in one of these rotten boat shoes that is
Deck shoes.
same from the 1980s. This is a new one. He finally got rid of the ones that were you buried in the backyard.
Right.
What were those? How old were those?
Oh, those were from the 70s, I think.
Deck Cody.
Yeah. Deck and Deckel. But I have new ones that I got for Christmas, but I can't bear to part with these. So I haven't even begun breaking in the new ones yet.
But what's
these are
happening?
so
What's
dear to me.
happening with your leg? Because Billy was laughing at the way you limped in because you weren't even talking bowling injury. You came in saying, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to make bowling."
Well, no, questionable. He hasn't
I'm
ruled himself
questionable.
out yet.
Right.
Day to day.
I'll throw a practice frame to see how it feels. When I tweaked my left hamstring, you couldn't, that's my plant foot. So I knew that would disable me for a couple of weeks. But this is an injury that feels like it's in the back of my kneecap.
Oh, boy.
And it hurts when I sit and when I stand. I injured myself sitting on a couch.
That's great.
And I sat awkwardly, felt it right away. I had a fine night's sleep, but then when I woke up this morning, ouch. I literally said the word ouch, which I never say. It's like last week when I sneezed and the actual sound was achoo. When I woke up this morning, I stood up and I actually said the word ouch.
Are you sure you didn't say
which nobody
ow?
does. No,
Most
I
people
didn't say
go
Ouch. Ouch.
No.
I said ouch, and nobody was in the room to hear me.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did it really happen?
Wow.
It did. It did really happen.
Well, this is the problem with the renegade parts of this business. That Greg Cote's achoo now could be his intellectual property because we haven't signed any contracts about how that sound gets used.
Yeah,
when
I said it.
We're a free media thing. All our sound is our own. Now Greg Cote wants to fight about whether Hee Haw 3 is his or Hee Haw 3 is Meadowlark's.
Did you say we're getting paid for the merch store? I mean, are we getting paid for the merch store? David Samson just sent me a text. He's very upset. He said, let's go. I don't have all day.
All right. Well, you guys have at it here. All right. Samson, come on.
This guy thinks
Samson.
he is.
Yeah, no. Well, Samson, just you're in charge of the merch store, so I've got chaos on my hands. What's happening now?
Well, the reason why you have chaos on your hands is that you asked me to do this, and then when I call you to tell you that something has to be done, you wash your hands of it, pretending that you're above it and you don't want to upset anyone in your employ. So you play both sides, and then you tell me that I have to do it, and the only way I can reach you is on air. So I needed to do it today. Greg,
Strong language.
we go back a long way.
Yes.
And I am sorry for what I'm about to do, but you violated our company policy, and no one's going to say anything, so I have to. And instead of telling you what you did, I was going to sing it to you, though you did not invite me to be a part of Hee Haw 3. So I merely need to deliver this message to you very clearly.
Is that what this is about?
No, this is about money. Clearly only money, not fame, not fortune, just money. Dear Mr. Cote, it has come to our attention that you have been selling clothing merchandise using intellectual property owned by Meadowlark Media and Dan Le Batard
That's in
without
dispute.
proper authorization.
That's in dispute.
Oh, we haven't even started.
Okay. I
This
haven't even started
unauthorized
either.
use constitutes a violation of our copyright.
Violate it.
Meadowlark Media and Dan Le Batard hold exclusive rights to the intellectual property associated with our brand and content. Your sale of merchandise without our consent infringes upon these rights and undermines the integrity of our brand. We demand, Greg Cote, that you immediately cease and desist from selling any merchandise that utilizes Meadowlark Media's IP, including, wait for it, Greg, but not limited to trademarks, logos, any proprietary materials, and you don't have 27 hours, my friend. You have 24 hours upon receipt of this message.
Yeah. And then you're going to have me arrested or what?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Failure to comply with this demand will result in further legal action to enforce our rights under copyright law. We reserve the right to pursue all available remedies, including seeking damages, including from Chris, should you be unable and unwilling to pay any financial harm that has been caused by your infringement.
Okay.
So,
may I respond, or are you on a filibuster here? Do I have a chance to respond?
Oh, you will have to respond.
Good.
Can
Please
Chris
confirm
respond?
in writing.
I'm eager to respond.
I'm ready to
Please
vote.
confirm
I object.
in writing within 24 hours of receipt of this message that you have ceased all sales of infringing merchandise and that you will refrain from any future unauthorized use of Meadowlark Media's intellectual property.
Okay.
Sincerely, not Dan Le Batard. I asked him to sign this. He refused. Therefore, I'm signing it.
Yeah.
And I do have the authority under Meadowlark Media's umbrella to sign this letter.
Okay, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and if you need it in writing, then grab a pen off your desk and write what I'm about to say. Two things. Number one, the phrase hee-haw is my intellectual property, and I am absolutely entitled to sell hee-haw merchandise on my website. I have an attorney who will back me up on that. Number two, an unnamed high-ranking Meadowlark executive, dare say ranked above the level of merchandise store clerk.
I did not approve. I did not approve this.
It was not Dan.
I did not.
It was another unnamed high-ranking.
You didn't give me.
There is no one higher than Dan.
You didn't give me time to respond. I responded 27 hours.
Right.
You got to talk to the COO in charge of this. It's the second in command there.
All right. I have.
So it wouldn't have to go up to Skipper, the dumbass merch store. Wouldn't have to bother. Skipper was the most powerful man in sports. You're going to bother him with your merch? With he and haw?
Hee-haw 3, badap. I have text proof that I had at least tacit approval. To go ahead with this. And so between my intellectual property attorney siding with me and my high-ranking Meadowlark executive in text form granting approval, you have no case, David Samson. Wow. That kind of thing, so forth and so on.
So, Mr. Cote, I appreciate your prompt response, but you missed two very important things.
Yeah.
One, Le Batard AF has been selling hee-haw merchandise since its inception, and the reason why it is intellectual property of Meadowlark.
They should cease and desist doing so.
Wow.
Well, I would certainly encourage you and whatever South Florida lawyer you have.
You have 24 hours, David, to write back to Greg on that one.
Oh, he will not. Please send a cease and desist to John Skipper.
This is good.
Our merchandise.
Company publicly fighting over like $400 in T-shirts.
What are we doing?
Great look.
Okay.
We're gonna hire lawyers on both sides to fight over a he and a haw.
Yeah, I don't have to hire a lawyer. I married one. Listen,
Dan, if you want to solve it, you can end this right now.
Yeah.
If you want to relinquish rights to your intellectual property to Greg and Greg Cote and the Greg Cote Show, by all means, just tell me. I don't have skin in the game because I make the same amount off the merch store as Stugotz. Zero. Yeah. You're the one who makes the money off the merch store.
No, I don't. As a matter of fact,
I'm talking to Dan.
I coined the phrase, I eat butt all the time. It turns up on a Le Batard Show merch store. My phrase, my intellectual property. I got nothing. I didn't even get a free T-shirt.
My hobby.
Said that on this show.
Yes, thank you.
Please keep in mind, folks, that every word that's said when you have a Meadowlark microphone is property of Meadowlark.
Yeah. What if it's my...
All of the ideas and bits and intellectual property is owned by Dan.
What if I say
not by any of
Nike?
you.
Does Meadowlark own Nike?
We can't keep calling.
Contextually, yes.
We cannot keep doing this thing of I eat butt all the time is property that's intellectual.
As is Hee-Haw 3.
I'm not going to have this creative company ruined by I eat butt all the time. Is that Meadowlark's or is that theirs? Is he his or is Haw theirs?
Hee-Haw is my intellectual property, and I'm going to challenge the audience to rebel against the authoritarian David Samson by going to the Greg Cote Show merch store or whatsitcalled.com.
It's whatever it's called.com.
Whatever it's called. Whatever it's called.com.
Not allowed,
and
right?
buying this merchandise.
Whatever it's called.
You cannot promote
You wrote
your
it down.
own website on the
Wait
show,
a
Greg.
minute. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Greg
Now
Cote,
Dan's promoting it,
Greg,
David.
you can't be so bad at this. You cannot be so bad at
Oh,
this.
yes, he can.
That you ask your son the incompetent.
Right. We just bought the phrase a couple of days ago. I haven't memorized it yet.
Right.
I said, what's it's whatever.com.
Did you buy it when you were sitting in that chair? 'Cause
Whatever
then
it's
you don't
called.
own it.
Yeah.
We're going to break your website right now.
I want sales of that show. I'm going to cut, without even wanting to or needing to, I'm going to give Le Batard a 5% vigorish of all sales.
What are you doing?
Wait a minute. Video's
He's taking 100% of your sales.
Video is promoting their website instead of ours, David, because this is what
It's
happens.
outrageous.
This
That
is-
has to be edited out. We are not promoting other people's websites. And Greg, now that you've been warned, any revenue that you get from this live moment on for a Hee-Haw shirt, that actually just adds to our
Do you know how much
damages.
this is
That's
worth?
funny.
Do you know how much this terrain is worth? You just wasted our time with promoting your website and causing me a problem with this guy because we're fighting over he and haw. Come on. This offends Mike Ryan.
And it should.
I mean,
I don't know who this Tacit is guy who's just giving approval left and right.
Okay. It's a high-ranking executive.
Is it time to vote
I'm not
or
going to
what?
throw him under the bus.
You're welcome, Greg.
I will privately show the text to
Billy.
To those in my coterie.
How's this
of,
vote going to
respected-
go? I'm just going to have full-scale employee revolt.
I don't know how the election's going to go.
It's fixed.
Wow.
Do you know how hard it is, Samson, to enter a dispute? Stugotz says, sight unseen, I side with Greg Cote, and he leaves the dispute feeling like he's never won bigger.
I'm the little guy. David Simpson represents.
Stugotz, Jay Bilas is coming through here this weekend to do South Beach sessions. And
Nice.
Jay Bilas has built an amazing career from law to being a sort of moral, great voice on a sport through culture wars as ESPN and basketball coverage changed. Jay Bilas, everyone knows that guy knows his stuff. When this guy's talking about how it is the NCAA has to be upended, he's so thorough, so factual, so on point without a fact out of place that everyone says, yep, you're a good caretaker for the sport. You're a good voice for the sport. We don't have too many of those. Jay Bilas goes on television with a strong voice and is wildly credible. And I've now lived long enough for him to say the most asinine thing he's ever said, which is that everyone who storms a court needs to be cited and arrested and ticketed up.
18,000 citations. He said that would stop it. The very next day.
Jay Bilas, listen to me. Jay Bilas is the best. Otherwise, Jay Bilas is the best. But it doesn't all have to escalate to arrest everyone when a Duke player gets hurt.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Nobody
Right.
now. This is the other thing.
Oh,
Wait,
he escaped major injury. Heavens. We all knew it. Come on. You knew it when you saw it, especially that second angle. He was trying to draw contact. I'm just saying, like, he wasn't hurt. He embellished it. And the reaction was just so out of hand. And I understand, like, something needs to be done. And here's the thing that needs to be done. If you're a 2.5-point favorite, don't storm the court. Wake was favored in that game. You're embarrassing yourselves. And almost as much as Flapowski did. And certainly the coaching staff. And I understand emotions run high. And occasionally we're going to have these conversations. I do actually think something should be done about it. I don't think it's arresting people. Because your school was involved.
But Jay is right when he says that would stop it, right?
No,
I'd agree.
We can't, well, no,
I'd agree.
No,
Well, that's why.
No,
you
wait a
want to know
minute.
why?
No. It wouldn't. No, because if it's 30,000 people, if it's thousands of people, you're gonna have so much armed security there.
You know what? You will never see here in South Florida, mainly because I don't win big games, is fans storming the field at Hard Rock Stadium. You know why? Because that's all but guaranteed. We're going to get jacked up by the police down here. This is not some college campus. We can't be doing that stuff, and it's why you'll never see it down here.
But I would say in certain sports, especially college basketball, if you beat Duke, regardless if you're the favorite or not, you should storm the court at home. Because Duke has been so good for so long, and they are so unlikable that when you beat Duke, you want to storm the court and celebrate it.
There should be a protocol because, believe it or not, Miami still has this cachet, especially in football, where they haven't done much over the last 2 decades.
Sure.
And it happens often to them. And I've spoken to players that have been on the field as it's been stormed, and fans have punched them in the head. It's not like you get a drill from your head coach. Now, guys, in the event that we lose, keep your composure, because there are going to be fans like that's a loser mentality, and a coach is not going to prepare someone for it. There should be something in place where you get the best of both worlds, where fans get to have that experience, but you keep players safe. I don't know if it's some sort of clock that's instituted where security just holds the line for as long as they can, and I know that's asking a lot of security. If it's messaging that goes over the PA, maybe that's something. We can certainly do more, and we haven't tried a lot. But part of this is also, Clemson, stop rushing the field when you're a 15.5-point favorite.
The solution is super simple. I believe it happened when Creighton beat UConn. They just had a clock up there. It's 30 seconds. You can play a video on the video board of something with the players saying, hey, hold up. There's a very simple solution. I will say, though, Jay Bilas had a great point. I think the woman who hit Caitlin Clark should be in jail. Yeah.
Oh, see.
She kind of sold it too.
She's a trendsetter.
Shut your mouth.
Her influence is undeniable when you see that Duke highlight.
She's trying to make the sport safer for everybody. God, she's just amazing.
I think Billy had the proper perspective yesterday and the proper response. Don't lose.
Don't
lose.
But they were a 2.5-point dog.
Don't lose.
The netting around the field hasn't really hurt baseball. Just throwing it out there.
No one stormed a baseball field.
It's a horrible overreaction.
Except like the disco night.
Let's throw a net up around the basketball court.
No, we've been storming courts and fields forever, and we have 2 bad incidents, and suddenly Bill Self wants to end it.
And it's not even that bad. He generates the contact.
It is a bit of a powder keg, though, and you can understand how in our lifetime something is going to go wrong, and someone might actually get hurt, and there might actually be a brawl on the playing surface. We can all see that coming, and I do think that there should be some leadership here in getting out ahead of things, but unfortunately the governing body may be dead anyways.
Well, let's get to that in just a second, but before we do that, we're all in agreement. Jay Bilas, you've been the voice of reason, really, for an impeccable amount of time. Salute to you, master. Respect. But we can't arrest everybody and start drawing up citations.
No, citations take a long time. Right. Citations take a long time to write up. They
really do, yeah.
18,000 of them.
You bury them in paperwork. Then you're going back and forth like Samson and Cody. You get me an answer in 24 hours.
They're out of here.
Well,
Samson.
What if you give away pizza outside right after the game? You're like, we're giving away pizza, but you only have 5 minutes to get it. Everyone's going to want to go get that pizza.
Let me speak directly to the fan here for just a moment. Fan, basketball fan, football fan, whoever you are, you never look dumber than when you're storming a court or a field. Your place is in the stands. That's what your ticket entitles you to. You have no right to storm a court, to celebrate in the stands. Stand up, applaud, high-five your neighbor, chug a beer, stay off the court, because that's the players and coaches'
It'd be like if after a good meal we stormed the kitchen. No, we're not doing that.
Celebrate the cook.
That's a good idea.
But what if you didn't expect it to be a good meal? What if you thought it would be a bad meal?
Right.
Yeah. It ends up being one of the most memorable meals you've ever had.
Yeah. Greg's right. It is trespassing.
It is.
You guys are lame. Storming the court is awesome. I know it's dangerous, so let's just put up the shot clock and bam, I already fixed the problem. But my core memories of college, my favorite moments ever, were storming the field after Iowa.
What's so great
beat
about it?
Because when Iowa beats Ohio, when Iowa scores 55 points in any game, we have to storm the field. It's just a rule.
Even if you lose.
I do feel like if they put up on the Jumbotron, storm the court in 30, 29, 28.
You have to storm it when the players are
People
still on the
love
court.
a countdown
No,
clock.
now I'm getting all lathered up.
No.
Now I'm going to storm that court with force.
People love a countdown clock.
I just think it's small town privilege. In Miami, it doesn't happen all that much because we think we're going to get shot.
I mean, that part,
Yes.
Yeah, the cops.
Yes. If you try to storm the field in mass at Hard Rock Stadium,
Really,
it's going to go badly.
It's not polite campus security.
I mean, I
it's
did
Miami
do it.
police.
Yeah,
Miami
police
versus
just
Duke.
shoot players on football fields all the time.
They all got arm sleeves, man. I'm not judging, but
I stormed the court at Miami when they beat Duke a few years
Get
ago.
shot?
I was the oldest one out there. I'm like, what am I doing?
we I don't think we stormed the court. I think we casually walked onto the court once we won the ACC last year.
Casually?
That's
yeah,
even
just
more
a casual
pathetic,
stroll.
honestly.
Like, yeah. Well, we're a blue
Checking for
blood.
everyone.
You
We're
rolled
blue
out
blood.
the
We're
chairs,
expected to
you
do
moved them out of
this.
the way.
How does that look? A
A
casual
general
stroll? Are you
milling?
whistling?
Yeah,
Or
Just
you-
a milling about.
A mill.
Yeah.
There wasn't a.
It wasn't a court storming. It was a milling.
So the
You guys
verb-
were loiterers
It wasn't
on the court.
Oh,
In
on
fact,
the
Coach L
field.
had to be like,
Oh.
come on, guys, it's okay.
I'd rather be a trespasser than a loiterer any day of the week.
Well, it's just blue bloods carry themselves a certain way. We act like we've been there before.
The technology does exist to electrify the court.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hear me out.
Hear him out.
I'm not talking about something that would be extremely
Nothing
dangerous.
lethal.
Like a dog
Yeah,
collar. kind
right?
of
Like a
thing.
dog collar, like
Keep
a,
the dog in the yard.
like a mild
Yeah.
stun gun feeling.
Those-
You would
right.
feel a jarring sensation in your feet, and you would have to limp off the court because it would be terrifying to you. Plus, there would be that sound, zzz, like when you
players
a
haven't
mosquito
left
runs
yet.
into one of those.
The players would
things.
then get electrocuted a
No,
little
no,
bit.
because
Their shoes would be programmed to not be electrified.
the players
Yeah.
and the coaches would all know,
Right.
clear the court,
Yeah, they
and
know.
then 10 seconds after the game ends, the court is electrified, and all the fans who have stormed the court are having a terrible, unpleasant situation. And guess what?
What?
Next big win, they don't do that anymore.
I like that.
Wow.
Thank you.
electrocute.
No, Greg is
Patent
onto something.
pending.
Just like a
Dan,
fence.
Lightly.
no.
Lightly.
No.
Like a raptor paddock.
Wait, so more than beyond the take where Jay Bilas is taking it. No, it can't merely be arrest. Let's go beyond that. Electrocute the
No,
customer.
I'd rather
get-
electrocute.
I'd rather
Minor
get
zap.
Wait, no, I just want to make sure I got this right. At the time of greatest joy, because we have won as a 1-point underdog against the school that has a reputation, we got great joy. The problem with court rushing is going to be solved right now as we rush for our greatest joy into straight electrocution.
No, not
We're gonna-
electrocution.
our
zap.
home
Just a
fans.
shock.
You're missing the
Little
point.
shock.
You're
Not even a
misrepresenting
stun.
this
Not a
intentionally.
It's
sting.
enough just to get you to go
That-
back to the stand.
Greg,
That's
the
it.
technology exists, I believe, and I know exactly how you do it. It's not you electrify the court because then you're going to zap the players, the referees,
Yeah.
whoever, right? Or even security if they happen to be pushed on the court. What you do is when they come in, you give them one of those like concert bracelets that change lights like at different songs or whatever. But there's a zapping mechanism in it. They have no idea. They're none the wiser. So they go out there during the game, songs play, the lights are changing. Everyone's excited. Like, wow, this is such a cool bracelet. I'm not going to take it off. You win the game, you go on, and you have one of those secret little dog electrocution wires around the court. They don't even know. As soon as they cross that, just a little.
Yeah, I like that. Billy's thinking. It's
I got-
humane.
I'm a problem
electrocution.
solver.
What about you get whatever's popular in a certain market? Like, if you were in Iowa, what's like the best fast food or just like a restaurant that would get everyone super excited? Yeah. Free cheeseburgers outside right now for anyone that first.
I said that.
You did?
He's a pizza.
Steve
Yeah, he's a
Martin.
pizza.
Yeah.
Okay, good idea.
I don't watch college basketball with sound on. I'm either at the game or it's on like a second or third television. I don't know what Jay Bilas's takes on this have been. But I imagine I've seen games where this happens that he's on the call of and he's not calling for the arrest of people as it's happening. I saw Dan Patrick have a take on this. A lot of this opining that you're seeing on these networks, when they show promos for, Big Monday and the conference championships, they're constantly showing court storming. It's a part of the culture. It is a celebrated part of the culture that is perpetuated by the big television networks, and for them to do an about face is a bit of a bad faith argument. Be part of the solution, and don't just try to arrest people one day to another because your star player decided to fake something.
Just zap them. Lucy, I do want to get into the serious part of this, and we will in a moment in the next segment, because it should be pretty newsworthy that the NCAA has kind of collapsed, fallen to its knees. We should probably talk about this. But before I do so, I just want to tell the audience, Mayday, a local Miami band here, now that I have your attention for just a moment, a band that this show supports, they are asking for the help of the community around them because of some things that have gone weird in the real estate economy down here in Miami as we become the least affordable housing market in the United States.
Did you check with Samson on this?
I did not. No, I'm just trying to help Mayday out, a local band that has supported us at every turn. Just put up on the screens here so that people can help Mayday, a local band. Their music is great. And so if you want to help them out because they're a creative band that wants to stay dirty Miami.
And if you're just listening, you can just search online, GoFundMe Mayday. It'll come up, and they're looking for a new studio.
Thank you.
You just make an example of one court stormer per game where he would be taken to court,
yes,
fined heavily, perhaps jailed.
All right, Dan, on your count.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I believe over the last few years, if you've been paying attention in this space to the business of college football, I believe that Mike Ryan, Lucy, and Jessica, who's not even here today, have reported very strongly and earnestly and correctly and fairly about what the business of the NCAA is becoming, is the whole thing like shakes and clatters. Stugotz got $7.8 billion in TV revenue. ESPN is going to be able to rent out these games. They're going to be using these bodies on the sport that we love, and there's going to be moral conundrums everywhere, and the prices are skyrocketing because everybody knows how much money's involved. Mike and Lucy and Jessica have stood out in their reporting about the commerce of this, showing you the insides of what the business looks like in ways that are funny, creative, illuminating, and honestly reported, expertly reported. So correct me if I'm wrong. Are you guys willing to break the story, or is someone else breaking it, that the NCAA is now dead?
Well, this happened several days ago, so the story has very much already been broken. But we're doing our best to get to it in a moderately timely manner. So the NCAA is dead. You've heard it here, not first or second or third, but like hundreds
down the list. Okay, but I'd like to have the original reporting on this that confirms it's not an insignificant thing that's happened over the last couple of weeks.
No, so basically what happened, and this was Friday of last week, was the NCAA lost a lawsuit against the state of Virginia and Tennessee. This one happened specifically in Tennessee. That pretty much opens up the floodgates with NIL, saying that the NCAA is not able to restrict any sort of NIL payments from boosters or collectives or whatever that could be. So it's pretty much a free market. And the NCAA really has only been around to say you can't pay players and you can't transfer and we're going to make everything crazy difficult for everyone. So this pretty much feels like what's the final blow to the NCAA. They don't really do anything anymore.
They hired a former governor to, I guess, make inroads with politicians to see if Congress can actually get involved here. Not a great time to get Congress to do anything at the moment. So this is happening at a pretty tumultuous time in our country where you have a politician in place basically to have the government do what they can't. The ruling really isn't as big a deal as they make it out to be. They essentially ruled that you can now use NIL to attract players. Wow, no one's done that before. I'm speaking for everybody else. At the University of Miami, you agree to come here and then we talk NIL. We're the outlier pretty much. But it doesn't really mean much other than solidify that we are now acknowledged to be in the Wild West. But I am not in favor of this ruling. I may surprise you with that. I think we need to have a governing body in place because what's going to happen is football will get more and more crazy and more money will be spent. And we're going to ignore, as we have with this, because I haven't seen the think pieces on this really, the non-revenue sports may die or be suspended until we have a solution. And say all you want about the NCAA, but they are necessary when it comes to non-revenue sports. Who's going to be organizing softball, baseball, track and field? I really think that we are fast approaching a part in college athletics where we're not going to have non-revenue sports until we figure this out.
Well, this happened quick, right? Because I thought we saw, look, man, when we talked all about this business terrain, please tell me if I have any part of this wrong. They were always warning us, if basketball and football are going to be that much more valuable than everything else, they will have no responsibility to keep everything else alive. And, of course, at the time of greatest greed, all of the top is going to go where the money goes. And, yes, you're going to get a whole lot of athletics are going to get undercut by the business of this. They warned us this was coming in 20 years. It's gotten here like right now, correct? Do I have anything wrong
No,
there?
it's happening too fast, and it's happening so fast that there isn't a replacement in place. What is the alternative to the NCAA when it comes to these other sports? Football is great. I give a lot to football, but I give a lot to a lot of athletics, and football only takes up really on my calendar 20% of my time. Most of the sports that I attend with my family are non-revenue sports, and I'm really afraid that they're just going to fall by the wayside here as we prioritize the revenue.
You've already seen non-revenue sports get cut. When COVID hit, that was a lot of the first things to go from these athletic departments, cutting swimming, cutting tennis. And so Mike Ryan makes an amazing point where the way I think this should be done is there should be a separate governing body for college football, because that's a completely different animal than college wrestling, than college softball.
Probably the CFP.
Yeah, but they can't do anything. They don't know what's going on, and they're ruining that too. So maybe they shouldn't be in charge. Someone not the CFP should be in charge of college football. We're in a scary time where you're going to see these non-revenue sports dip. There's also the question with this NIL money coming directly, where does Title IX factor into this?
I would do that, by the way. I would be the college football commissioner.
Wow.
I believe
What
I'm
are your
suited.
And the executive producer of this show.
Great. I'll do them both at the same time. Right. You're right about. I'm glad you mentioned Title IX, because Title IX ranks above the NCAA because it's a national law. And if not for Title IX, there would be no such thing as women's rowing at the University of Miami, and men's golf and women's tennis. I mean, almost every woman's sport below basketball would not exist.
At the University of Miami, there are people that are really trying to push for a softball program, and you can't be pushing for it at a worse time right now with all this uncertainty.
Okay, but forgive me, Mike, because you have been a bit of a protector. Like, you've been shouting without seeming hysterical on, you can't just let all the governance walls collapse, because then it's going to become such free commerce that it's going to ruin the sport very quickly.
I guess my Miami relationship is held against me. I do think that there should be some order. I don't like that it's arbitrary depending on which state that you're operating in, and I don't necessarily want the government involved. I just want adults in the room. And right now we have a rudderless ship, and now it's all out in the open. And it's not sexy when you're fantasy booking a 14-team college football playoff, and you're hyping up EA's next big release. They're not going to be releasing track and field. EA's track and field. And these are really essential programs that benefit the student athletes, that give people access to college that in some cases may otherwise not have it. And it's being forgotten here as everyone just grave dances.
There's a pretty easy solution to some of this, and it would be pay college football coaches less. But that will never, ever in a million years happen. So I'm sorry I brought it up. My bad.
No. The injustice of the entity that's making all the revenue not really paying for the labor. I mean, they do in some institutional things. They provide these games and they organize them. But really, the people funding NIL, they're not the schools for the most part. There's some states here and there. But the grave injustice that we all rebelled against is still there.
I know who to put in charge. There, right there. The son of nepotism. There it is. Put him in charge. Stugotz, I don't know if the audience is going to take this bit of information and assume that all of the money that has been pouring into the Ron Magill endowment, because people just sort of trust he's going to take great care of taking care of the animals and try to remove all the paperwork and everything else. So you either trust him to be decent and have decent people running his things, or he's going to get a new car and a Cadillac as he has, better clothes. And now soon he and I are running off to Africa again. I want to get to Africa, where it is that I got engaged to my wife, and now I'm going to have a personal safari tour with him, and I'm assuming it's all paid for by the endowment, by the listeners.
Or the merch store.
Yes. I don't know who's paying for all of this, but I am very pleased to announce that I'm going to have a personal tour guide in Africa with Ron Magill. How great is that going to be?
It's going to be epic. That word is sometimes overused, but this is truly going to be epic. Everything from Victoria Falls, Kruger National Park, to leopards, lions, elephants, rhinos, buffalo. It's going to be amazing. Not to mention private chefs, tents that make a 5-star hotel in New York look like a bunkhouse. It's going to be like nothing you've ever experienced in your life. I pulled out the best of the best. We're staying in Derek and Beverly Gilbert's private suite in Botswana, which is like unbelievable. This is going to be like nothing you've ever seen.
Wow.
What's the dynamic of this trip? Like, you're going to show Dan around Africa?
Is Ron working?
Yeah.
Is he paying you?
Is he paying for your expenses? Is he paying you to do this? What's the dynamic?
No. No, he's not paying for me to do this.
Oh.
This is a pleasure and a privilege for me, not as much for him as it is for his beautiful wife.
There's no way a tent is nicer than a hotel room.
Okay. Wait until I send you the pictures, Billy G.
Billy G, huh? Cam Newton status. I mean, a yurt.
Brother.
Are you staying in a yurt? Because I have stayed in a yurt that's nicer than a hotel room. I've done that.
Trust me. When I want to just send you guys, when we get back, we'll send you pictures, and it'll be fodder for social media forever.
Is Dan building the tent?
To be clear, none of the endowment money is actually going to any of what it is.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, right.
But the merch store money is.
No, none of the money. All of the money is being kept in all the right places. You either believe that Ron Magill is an honorable man, or you do not, or you believe that he is paying for trips around the world so that with listener funds. I don't believe he would do that. That would be a terrible fraud at the end of his great and distinguished career. So I'm going to trust him with this one.
When's this happening? Just to make sure we have the PTO on the calendar, because that seemed to be an issue last week.
I don't usually tell dates because that tells you when you're going to be out of town, and people watching say, "Hey, that's
security
a good time
breach."
to go."
Because he's been in Miami all his life. Ron Magill will tell you the same thing Mike will tell you. We won't storm a court here because the police will break our legs, and that's understood.
They'll shoot you, is what Mike said.
No, but I mean, it's understood from a young age. No, they're way ahead of the times on security measures. We will not rush a field because why? We'll end up in the hospital for 10 days.
I aspire to have a compound like Ron where he's afraid to say when he's out of town.
Well, also, in all fairness, the people of Africa have asked that I do not disclose when Dan is going to be there because we know how,
too many hippos in one spot.
Poachers.
The crew are, and they could get out there and, try to get it, Dan.
A continent asked you not to disclose
No
where
one
Dan
asked
was
you,
going to be.
Poachers?
A continent did that.
They did. They told me, listen, we don't want to make it known when we'll be here because
It's an airbrushed New Era cap on some
Hippo season? What are we afraid
rich
of?
poacher's wall.
Just saying. The guy draws a crowd, and we don't want crowds. We want peace and tranquility out there in Africa.
Going after hippos,
You
He's going to
guys,
see lots of Dan Le Batards out there, that's for sure.
you guys have my.
I want to meet this poacher. He's got a Mike Francesa Diet Coke on his wall.
You and Valerie got room in the tent for me because I've never been to Africa, and I would really like to join you on that trip. Tell me off air when it starts.
Their tent that they're staying in has room for the entire crew, and you guys wouldn't even have to see each other.
Oh, wow.
Thank
you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
I believe the suite,
Dan.
the tent suite is 3,000 square feet.
Wow. Seriously?
Seriously.
That's crazy. The word is
Yep.
a tent. You still call it a tent? There has to be a
Yeah,
different
because the
word
only
for
thing
that.
tent about it is canvas walls. We're talking about hardwood floors, incredible, Roman tubs, jacuzzis. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
Ron, I had sent to the people who work over here because I saw it the other day and I couldn't believe the size of an anaconda that I'm assuming was real. I think it was the biggest that has ever been seen anywhere. And I'm assuming in the age of artificial intelligence that you're able to verify things that are real and are not real. And when you saw this video I speak of, were you somewhat?
I've not seen the video. What I'm looking at right now is a red-faced Yukari. That's not an anaconda. It's a red-faced Yukari, kind of like when Stugotz gets really mad.
Yep.
Chris Cote, why are you making faces at me?
Oh, no, I'm making faces at the video team because they're doing the thing where it's a side-by-side. And before it was Benjamin Franklin and Larry David, and now it's Monkey.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh, we're still okay. So we're still making the joke. When you were onboarded by Chris Cote, did he say anything about how you look? Because it's visually startling to everyone every time you make.
I saw him
appearance.
smirking.
I did look at him and go, "What the heck? Did you lose a bet?" I thought he was George Washington, but I guess he's Larry David.
My larger point, though, Ron, is just the idea of an anaconda that is the size of 3 or 4 Shaquille O'Neals stacked on top of each other. How is that a thing that can be real?
That can be real. I will say an anaconda is the largest snake in the world. It's not the longest. The longest snake in the world record is 33 feet 3 inches, a reticulated python. I'm looking at the video now. It looks pretty real. But again, with all this artificial intelligence, I don't know what to believe anymore. I saw a video the other day of a great white shark on a beach that looked so real to me, and then they told me, no, it's artificial intelligence. So there is an outstanding award of over $100,000 for any snake 30 feet or longer that can be found today. So, I mean, that's a $100,000 snake there if they're saying it's 30 feet long.
But why? Why is that a reward?
Because nobody believes that it exists anymore. And they actually created this reward from a legitimate source that if you can produce a 30-foot snake, you will be paid $100,000.
Who do you turn that into? Like a dead snake? You just have a snake carcass and you take it somewhere?
Theoretically, yeah, as long as you can legitimately prove that it was that long. I'm hoping they would not kill it, but you know, people do a lot of things for $100,000. I don't think the $100,000 is based on a live snake. It just has to be based on a real snake.
Wow.
Ron, can you explain to us what that eats? What's something like that? How long that would take for a snake to get that large? What is
that anaconda? That anaconda is an ambush predator, and it's going to feed primarily probably on capybaras, which are the world's largest rodent, fairly common throughout the Amazon basin. They are an aquatic type of rodent. So they swim quite a bit. Like I said, a large rodent, that would be a very good meal. They will also feed on deer, various type of deer that come to drink in the water. Again, they just will place themselves on the bank of the water, generally speaking, waiting for something to come and get a drink, and they'll get it that way, or they'll slowly track it down. You know, animals take common paths. They create paths. Even though they're in the wild, they'll take the same path almost every day as part of their routine. And snakes can smell that, and they'll wait there, and they'll kind of camouflage themselves along that path until the animal unknowingly walks by and then wraps his coils around him, suffocates him, swallows him whole.
The great white shark that you saw that washed up ashore was not artificial intelligence. That was a real thing. A 15-foot pregnant great white shark washed up.
That was another one, but there's another one. There's another one.
Okay.
I saw that one.
Okay, yeah, there's a bunch of local news outlets. There was a fishing hook found in the mouth of a great white shark. They're still doing studies to find out as to why this pregnant great white shark washed up ashore. We are getting more and more great white shark sightings. We are seeing humpback whales off the coast of Florida as well. There have been killer whales spotted down here. Not that the occasional great white shark sighting hasn't been an occasional thing down here, but they're becoming more and more routine. What is happening in our coastal waters that is getting all this new marine life?
Well, you know, hopefully it's good news. Hopefully the populations are increasing, and hopefully there's more out there. But it also can have something to do with climate change. You know, as temperatures are changing in the waters, populations of fish are shifting, and the prey that feeds on those fish is also shifting. So, you know, you might just be seeing a shift in populations where you might not see as many in places they were previously seen and seeing more. And now these,
right.
You know.
That's what I want to ask you about, because these are generally marine life that are spotted in colder water temperatures. And,
Exactly.
and when you say climate change, well, why the heck would they want to come down here when the ocean water sometimes is that of a sauna? But this could all be migratory and predatory?
Exactly. Migratory and predatory. And again, Mike, I think animals have the ability to adapt to things. You know, maybe these animals that, you know, for generations have been restricted to colder water climates, all of a sudden now are starting to say, well, you know what, we're getting warmer and warmer. We're going to start getting ourselves introduced to this warmer and warmer climate. And as each successive generation comes along, we might be seeing animals like the polar bears. I think, you know, within several generations, you're going to start seeing polar bears come inland and start hunting inland and start competing with grizzly bears, because getting out on the ice is no longer an option for them. I don't think they're going to go quote unquote extinct, but what they're going to do is they're probably going to come in. I believe there's already been documented cases of them hybridizing with grizzly bears. And, you know, you're going to come up with the adaptation of basically another species of bear that comes from the polar bear. Not the true polar bear we know today, but not a polar bear either.
What a horror that is you're describing. You're describing a future where there are bear wars right before they come for the humans, where the polar bears and the grizzly bears are going to fight over land, and they're going to look at humans and they're like, those are going to be delicious too. That's the apocalypse you're describing in our future.
There you go. New movie, Planet of the Bears.
Ron, I was driving home and I stopped at the Fort Pierce Service Plaza, and for whatever reason, they had like animal facts printed along the ceiling. And one of them was, scientists estimate that 91% of ocean species have yet to be classified. That's just made up, right?
I've said this many times, Billy. we know less about the ocean than we know about the moon.
But that number is they just said, let's pick a big number, right? There's no way that you could know that you don't know 91% of something.
I think it's fair to say that they can extrapolate that just from where the places that they haven't been able to discover, the places they haven't have access to, looking at things, coral reefs they're like the rainforests of the water. I mean, there's so much diversity, so much that we haven't discovered yet. Even in the coral reefs we get to, there's stuff we haven't discovered yet. In a rainforest, we get 50% of all of our pharmaceuticals from rainforest plants. Yet we've only thoroughly, examined 10% of the plants in a rainforest. So there's 90% of the plants that we haven't examined yet where we got 50% from 10%. What's in that other 90%? Same thing with the ocean, man.
A lot of numbers.
Made up.
A lot of numbers. That's it.
Scott Steiner.
You know what? Billy and Chris Cote got it exactly right. Yeah, numbers. Shut up, Zoo Man. Greg Cote has a question.
Well, no, I have a question first. Sorry to cut you off. Did you hear, Ron, about Charlotte, the stingray in North Carolina, who hasn't had a mate in 8 years and is now impregnated, and no one knows how, if it was one of the sharks that's in the tank or not?
Not that no one knows how, and it's not one of the sharks in the tank. It's something called parthenogenesis. It's not uncommon in fish and some reptiles where they're actually able to fertilize their own eggs without having a mate.
Wow. Like Jesus.
How about that?
So that happens. There are other animals that have what's called sperm storage. For instance, the common box turtle can store sperm for up to 7 years. In other words, breed in 2010 and have babies from that one breeding for every year up to 2017 by storing the sperm. So, I mean, wildlife is incredible when you think about this stuff. And what it does is it removes the necessity for these animals to meet every time. So when populations get thin or they spread out, you still are able to keep the numbers up because you don't have to meet the guy to get impregnated. You can keep producing young.
Ron, New York City is mourning the death of celebrity owl Flacco.
God, I didn't hear that. He died?
Yeah, he died. And he ran into a building, and now they're investigating whether he was ill.
Flew into a building. Hold on.
He didn't run into a building.
Are you suggesting foul play? I'll go.
Yeah, I meant he flew into a building.
Bye, Billy.
Fly out of here.
I enjoyed it.
Fly out of here. That's awful, especially since, I mean, look. What?
Yep.
Look.
2 minutes for a good joke.
No,
I didn't know Flacco died.
Look,
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break it to you. You know
I'm sorry,
everything.
I'm sorry.
You know.
You're the animal expert. I mean,
all right. This is why I'm mortified about just what happened right now. Okay.
Foul owl on the prowl.
Oh, there it is. I saw that one coming.
Greg Cote, bitch. I got anything.
Lewis feeling the hot hand.
I
Stop talking, Lewis.
I do feel bad that I broke that terrible news to Ron.
But this is why that rings in. I'll tell you why this rings insincere. All of this was very poorly handled for a number of reasons. First, I believe Ron Magill to be the foremost national voice there is right now. There aren't very many of these over time. Speaking to two cultures about the protection and care of the animals, and that you guys would break this news to him, which has been in the news. I'm sorry that it was delivered that way, Ron, because it's been in the news, and I just assumed that this news that you'd received it because the people in New York are hurt by what's happened here, that this owl has died.
Understandably so, and in all fairness, I haven't been watching the news the last couple of days. I've kind of been swamped in work. I get home and I just fall asleep.
Why is this owl so famous?
Well, he escaped or was released from the Bronx Zoo, Central Park Zoo. It's a Eurasian eagle owl. It's one of the largest owls in the world. And, this happened over a year ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And, people were worried about him, that he was going to die. Oh, my God. And all he did is found out how to eat rats and squirrels and live off of the abundancy of these vermin in New York City. So he became somewhat of a folk hero and was doing very, very well. The big fear was that something would happen. Someone would shoot him. Someone would hurt him. He'd be hit by a vehicle or a car, or God forbid, now he's crashed into a window. I guess I have to look into this. But now I'm really bummed. I'm very depressed.
I'm sorry that we delivered this news that way to you because you guys kind of trampled on him on that part.
Is an owl flying into a building like if a human dies with the train tracks? It's like it had to be their fault.
Oh, come on.
Like I'm saying, I feel like the other birds are looking
Some
around.
birds can't see the windows.
Chris, let me educate you on something.
Come on.
I try to tell people all the time, when you have big sliding doors or windows in your home, Please use these little stickers or little markers so that birds can see them, because what birds see is a reflection of what's behind them. And you see, that hurts. That hurts.
I say,
bottom line is, birds will fly because they see the reflection and they hit that. They don't realize it's not, the forest behind them or the sky behind them. And they hit that. You know how many millions of birds die every year from hitting windows?
Billy doesn't care about the animals. It's been made clear by his
It's
chance.
what Flacco would have wanted.
All right, get out of here.
I say who?
Get out of here.
You say who?
They say who.
I'm really, I'm sad, guys. I'm sad, and I feel badly for Flacco. I feel badly for you guys making light of this.
Making light.
So, I hope you sleep well at night.
Wow. Jeez. It's wrong. Ron's on the right side of this. These are assholes, Ron. I'm
Ron.
on your side. I'm 100% on your side, Ron. They deliver that news to you and then are total about it.
Well, Ron cares so much that he didn't know the news.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
know,
you
but
figure he have an alert.
No, but
on
we
his phone.
deliver the news to
what,
him, and then
guys?
you deliver it
I'm
that
done.
way. It's
I'm
brutal.
done, guys.
Brutal.
I'm
jeez.
done.
Check in on your friends every once in a
And
while.
by the way, you're not, listen, the tent you're talking about, it's got mahogany antiques in it. It's not a real tent. Do it in a real tent.
What you guys just did, wretched, what you just did to Ron Magill.
In fairness, the death was 4 days ago. I spent 3 days in mourning, and now I'm celebrating the life of Flacco with a little bit of humor.
It's the J.J. Watts of tents. I mean, seriously, minimalistic. Get out of here. You guys are acting like you're going out in the wild. You're staying in a Ritz.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
We are good. How's the Pop-Tart?
Yeah, I'm having a Pop-Tart.
Love it. What flavor? What flavor are we talking here?
Strawberry unfrosted.
And you seem like a room temp guy.
You know what? Let's start him right there.
Okay.
This is let's do this right now. Let's do it right now.
Yes.
Unfrosted. Listen to me. Yes, listen. Peter King,
I do not like the frosted Pop-Tarts.
Peter,
it's just
blasphemous.
Okay,
What?
Listen, Peter King is going out on top his way. He always did it his way. And at the end, with punctuation, as a journalist, he's going out eating Pop-Tarts. And he's going to be our Pop-Tart expert right now and tell us why he's the best of all the known Pop-Tart eaters. But in the moment, this is what we're going to do. Peter King.
Yes.
Peter King.
The last journalist. Yes.
The last great journalist. The last great football man.
What a run.
From a different time when Lambeau Field mattered, frozen tundra eats Pop-Tarts where real men reside in yesterday's America. Peter King has outlived every football culture and goes out at the very top. What an ending, Peter. I don't know how hard it was to hit send on that column, but I will tell you, you carried yourself with grace throughout, and it has been overwhelming to watch an outpouring for a media member from other media members, saluting you for your kindness and for being a good person and trying to help others, for protecting the craft and doing your job honorably. I don't know what the best compliments you've gotten over the last few days, but thank you for doing your job as professionally well as it can be done in the previous age or in the modern age. Thank you for your work, sir.
Well, thanks a million, Dan. And I'm just fortunate that I'm the son of Kenneth and Phyllis King of Enfield, Connecticut, who raised me to be, a giving person whenever I could. And I'm grateful to be the husband of Ann King, who always put everybody in the family before her. So I had some great examples to follow. And it has been humbling the last 24 or so hours to hear from everybody. It's just nice. And look, Dan, never had a bad day in this job. It's the greatest job a sports writer could ever want to have. I mean, what could be better than sitting in Andy Reid's office for 10 minutes alone with me and my videographer, Andy Koblitz, just recording everything about Tom and Jerry, the winning play in the Super Bowl. And then 5 hours later, telling America about it in this column. How could you want anything more in your life if you're a sports writer that likes to, get things first. So anyway, I've had a fun run.
Oh no, but Peter, okay, I don't know if you're being modest or you don't want to be the story, but I just want to salute this part of you, because to keep these relationships with the Andy Reids, to keep the curiosity, to keep progressing the game, to keep loving the game, and to have gratitude about your profession as it crumbles around you, and you climb at every level to greater heights as your magazine love falls apart, the Sports Illustrated brand becomes something that you can no longer take pride in, and you climb to the top of your career, retire on top, and then also get to say, and no one has an unkind word to say about this man's climb. Like, that's the rarest of things, Peter. Nobody gets what you got yesterday, which is the eulogy while you're still living.
Yeah, I know. I did. I felt like I was at my own funeral, honestly. I couldn't believe some of these things. And Dan, I've done it for so long that a lot of the things I had forgotten, a lot of the stories that were told, I said, wow, I hadn't remembered that. And I just think also, honestly, I was really fortunate in 1989. Dan, you remember this. In 1989, Sports Illustrated was bigger than ESPN. My second year there, I went in to cover the Dallas Cowboys as they were starting to climb the ladder. And Michael Irvin said to me, my God, Peter King's here. Man, and he yelled in the locker room, we're in a Sports Illustrated game. And that is something that I was fortunate to be able to be in on the ground floor with so many players who became great players. Writing the first long piece about Brett Favre, doing a lot of things like that. I met Andy Reid when he was a tight ends coach in 1995 in Green Bay. And he came up to me and he said, when I went to college, I wanted the job that you have now. I wanted to cover football for Sports Illustrated. So, I understand it's getting all this, but getting all this praise, it's wonderful. I never would have been in a position to get that praise if I hadn't come along at the absolute perfect time in this business for somebody like me.
Peter, why now?
I just really, I've done it for so long. I've covered the NFL for 40 years. And, I have started to feel, this fall, I started to feel I don't care anything about these coaching searches. I don't care. And I had been thinking about doing this actually since last off season. And I knew it was time when I thought to myself, oh God, no, I do not want to go to the scouting combine. And it isn't that I don't like the scouting combine, okay? Because you get FaceTime with the most important people in the game. But I loved it 5 years ago. But I have gotten to the point in life where, you know what true enjoyment is? Being asleep at 9:15 at night. Because I'm tired. And when you're at the scouting combine, you're at a bar at 1 o'clock in the morning every night. You just are. And I said, oh my God, I don't want to do that. So that's when I kind of knew it was time to go.
Peter, I noticed you're wearing a Wake Forest sweater there. Do you agree? Do you agree with Jay Bilas that all those kids should be in prison?
Silent protest.
In prison. I just think the ultimate example of what a gelding organization the NCAA is that everybody in college basketball says, oh, geez, there's nothing we can do about court storming. It's like in America now, after there's a mass shooting, oh, what can we do about mass shootings? This is the United States of America, people. You can do something about bad things. Do something about court storming. Don't allow it. And the students who do it either get expelled or something happens to them. Right now, it's everybody looks the other way. It's a dumb practice. And it's terrible that it takes somebody to get hurt for people to really think about doing something.
Peter King standing for something. Yeah. Peter King wants it said. Peter King.
I feel like Clint Eastwood and Gran Torino.
Come on.
Honestly.
You look like them too.
I know. I'm an old man. Old men yell about things that they're mad about. So that's what I just did.
Speaking of old men, Peter, I have a question. As somebody who's of a retirement age himself, I want to ask you very honestly, how difficult and how emotional was it for you to finally say, I'm done with the career that has defined me for 40 years?
I think it will definitely be difficult because, you know, when July 30th comes around and I'm not going to training camps, which is really, that month is like my favorite time of the year. Going to training camps, traveling across the country, that'll be the hard time. But listen, I look at it this way. I haven't had any real new adventure in my life. And I have no idea what it's going to be. Maybe I'll drive a school bus. I have absolutely no idea. Maybe we'll move. My wife and I live in Brooklyn. We haven't really had time to process it and think about it. But I don't fear this at all. It's, you know, it's just the next chapter. And I have had a lot of fun doing this job. And we'll see what happens. But no, I don't have any real fear. I'm not crying about it, anything. It's just, it's life.
Dan, you should invite Peter to Africa. I mean, on your safari with Ron Magill.
Nice.
Yeah. He has nothing to do. I mean, why not?
Yes.
Stay in that tent.
I want...
You asked my two daughters, who I haven't seen my grandkids enough. One is in Seattle, two are in Berkeley. I don't know that a trip to Africa would be pleasing to them when I've been ignoring my grandchildren too much.
Okay, but hold on. I'd like to go back a second, please, at Le Batard Show. Do you believe that Peter King is full of shit when he says he might drive a school bus in the future at Le Batard?
Of course. I just mean, I just truly don't know what I'll do.
You're not going to be driving a school bus. Listen, you're a legend. You're a legend, and you're grateful, and you say all the right things, and you are so humble about your greatness and how grateful you are. But Lord, football made you a king, sir, king of content, king of money, yes, king of empire building, and you are retiring at the top of your game. Stop with the humble nonsense. You built a brand that outlasted Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Well, you know, Dan, that was another thing. 1997, when everybody at Sports Illustrated still feels like, oh, we are the great and powerful Oz here. Still thinking they're more important than ESPN. And maybe at the time they were, but it was getting close. But I'll tell you, I got asked, would you do this column on this new website we have? I didn't even have an email address when I started this column, Monday Morning Quarterback. And I had to get one in order to deal with the internet. But anyway, the one thing I would say is I said yes. And it's one of the things I try to tell young journalists now. If somebody asks you to do something, you should say yes unless you absolutely cannot do it. And the reason is you have no idea in 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, how stories will be told in journalism. Is there going to be some new way? Will everyone out there, every media person, have a streaming channel? I don't know. But you better be open to wanting to do different things. And I was about the only person at Sports Illustrated who said yes when they said, would you do a column for this new website thing called a website that we're going to have? And I got lucky. It hit a jackpot.
Peter, I'm assuming that you're retiring, but not necessarily from the business. You will do what you want. You will not be driving a school bus, but I'm guessing you might do some creative things because you have access to these football artifacts and you have an uncommon trust with the information that's been bestowed upon you because of the relationships over 44 years of doing this. But you're getting all of this praise from all over the journalism landscape, and Chris Cote, nepotism child of Greg Cote, wants to ask you a tough question because we're tired of the softballs and everybody loving you up, and we want an answer on this question as everyone's throwing you flowers today.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
All the kind things you heard from everyone that came out of the woodworks yesterday, and you heard from, who didn't you hear from? Mm-hmm. Who were you sitting around and you're like, where's this person should have reached out?
Or more. This person needed to say more.
Name names.
This person needed to say more. Did they not know that I just retired?
Honestly, I have, as of right now, I have 1,400 emails and about 400 text messages. I have not looked at all of them. I've been busy. And
that's disrespectful. Hold on, I'm sorry, Peter. We're here honoring you, and Chris Cote feels the need to hit you with a "Look at me, Louie."
Well, I mean,
because you told us how many emails you got in an interview about when I'm talking to him the whole time about like how moving all this is. Because
I don't know. But honestly, Dan, I can't answer the question. I don't know the answer to the question because I don't really know everyone who has contacted me. So I don't know who hasn't contacted me.
Who didn't say enough? King, who didn't say enough? Did Schefter say enough? Did Rappaport say enough? Were you walking around your living room saying, "I birthed all of you. You too, Florio. Oh, no one came before me. I'm the first. I'm the original. All the rest of you are imitators. Poor copycats."
No, I'll tell you one thing. Those guys have advanced the ball. I mean, Will McDonough started it. Me and a few others, Len Pasquarelli and Fred Edelstein and a bunch of people.
Peter, come on, Peter, you're the best of them. Peter, can you say it at the end? Are you going to be Peter? This doesn't diminish anyone else. You were the best and the original gangster
pioneer,
of
man.
all the football writers. Like
that was McDonough. McDonough was the OG. He was the OG. So he always will be. And then there was
the king of
How about
kings.
Zim?
Good timing. Good time.
What happened, Greg?
Madame, what do you mean what happened? It's just the genuine contributions of one Greg Cote. Ill-timed.
Who said too much, Peter? Who said too much? Was over the top with their praise for you. Too much.
Just trying to get in the glory of, hey, this is King's last day. Let me get some of the.
I don't know.
Come on. Somebody
it was
did
Simmons,
that.
right?
Who said too much? Hey, listen, you can't say too much about me. That's how great I am.
What?
Wow.
Huh.
You can't say too much about me. Dan, you've said it. I'm so incredibly wonderful. So these things should continue for the next 6 months, all the praise, obviously.
Congratulations. 30 seconds or less. I'm glad you made time for us today. I mean, sports writer for 44 years for Sports Illustrated. I don't believe there will be another of these. I think he carved a very unique path. So thank you, Peter, and it's always good talking to you.
All the best, Dan, and all the best, guys. Great being on with you. Take care.
Thank you, Peter.
Stugotz, I am genuinely excited about a guest we're going to have here in a little bit. It's not just because Jimmy Graham is University of Miami royalty, really led a revolution at the position of, okay, the tight ends are now going to be basketball power forwards, and Drew Brees is going to be so accurate that you're going to be able to send these power forwards across the middle. They're not basketball players, but they can play football, and it makes you wonder what LeBron and Shaq would have been as a tight end. Would they have been Kelsey squared? Because that's what Gronk became with Brady. You need one at this position. Look, this is an oversimplification, obviously, but the tight ends they morphed into these wide receiver bodies where all of them are like, okay, is this Julio Jones or is this something bigger? Tight ends aren't supposed to be. They're not guardable at the size. Jimmy Graham led that revolution.
He was one of those guys, yes, who led that revolution at that position.
Salute
he absolutely
to Antonio
was.
Gates.
Yes, yes, fair enough.
Right before him.
And there are plenty before him. We can go back to both Kellen Winslow's. I'm just saying that as part of what became a revolution at the tight end position, this guy is doing that. But then I learned the other day that the 5-time Pro Bowler is also, and I didn't understand why he was doing this, he's going 1 million+ rowing yards nonstop across the Arctic Ocean. It takes 15 days. He's already done it, so he's returned from it. We were trying to get him to come on the show, and I think he was going to come on from the rowing, so I'd like to hear some of the details of what he's doing and why.
Second biggest calves I've ever seen in person.
Who's first, Zoe?
No, Book Sciambi.
What?
No, Alonzo Mourning.
No.
Boog. I'm with Mike on this.
Yeah, I agree with Mike on that one.
Yeah.
No, you can't agree with Boog Sciambi.
If you try to take a biopsy of that calf, it will break the instrument.
When Jamal Mashburn fell on the side of the court in a Heat game where Alonzo Mourning was on Jeff Van Gundy's ankle, he thought when he saw Alonzo Mourning from that angle that a police officer on a horse had been on the court.
Yeah. Have you seen Boog Sciambi leaning over a bar?
You're not going to be Boog Sciambi's. Boog Sciambi's calves are not going to be bigger than Alonzo Mourning.
No, well,
we respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
Come on.
Agree to disagree. Yeah.
I'm amazed you've noticed Book Sciambi's.
You
calves.
haven't?
No, I haven't.
What? Are you kidding me?
Who
You can
looks
see
at a
those
man's
things
calves?
from the front.
I think Pablo Torre raves about his own calves. Don't you? Have you not heard Pablo Torre?
There's no
trying
way
to
Pablo
get...
has good calves.
See yourself out of this conversation. You don't belong, Pablo.
Dan's right, though. Pablo does claim to have good.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good calves, and then they're massive calves.
Right.
He's not in the company of Jimmy Graham and Book Sciambi.
I have nice calves, right?
You do, surprisingly so.
Yes.
I
I mean,
have
I'm not going to
good
say it's
calves.
among the biggest I've ever seen, but you're in
Right.
that Pablo class
Right.
where it's just like, whoa, I didn't know this guy was cooking quite like
They're
this.
chiseled, yes.
Not
Definition.
No, you got kind of like meat-boned
Some
calves.
cut, yeah.
Chiseled. Stugotz. Chiseled.
There was a
I mean, check
picture.
it out.
You
I
took
mean-
a picture of him,
No, he's-
didn't you?
he's
Not
got
too
good
long
calves.
ago.
Chiseled
Yeah.
like the Rock.
He's built them up wandering grassy fields following the dead in flip-flops.
Yep.
I feel like everybody's got good calves.
I have bad
because
calves.
Everybody walks.
I'm fine with my bad calves. I don't
Really?
care. I have chicken legs.
Let me see your calves.
No, I don't want
hereditary. Hereditary.
I got good calves.
You do.
You do. You have solid calves.
Ooh, how's the
Calves.
knee?
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Careful.
It hurts.
Yeah.
He told me during
Is
the
that
break.
burst or sack?
He told me during the break he thinks he's going to give it a go, though.
I'm gonna.
wow.
Okay,
yeah.
but this leg's in bad shape. I'm seeing that there are bruises. This leg doesn't look like it's functional. He had genuine difficulty even throwing it up on
I
there.
got an injured knee.
No, but you're in genuine pain. You got in pain because you were getting out of the car or getting off the sofa?
I was sitting down.
Okay, you weren't even getting up.
No,
You
I
were
was
just-
sitting down.
No,
Yeah.
That's what you do for relief.
I sat awkwardly.
When he got up, he said, ouch.
Yeah, I did.
Did you sit,
From
where
bed.
did you sit?
OCH.
Where did you sit?
On my couch.
The couch has been there without repair for how long?
Well, Jump and Charlie ate it,
Who repaired
so they
the
did
couch?
get a new one. They got a new couch because
Right.
his dog
This
ate
is the
it.
new. This is a
I'm,
new
aus-
couch.
I'm asking, how did you injure yourself? Was it the fault of the couch or it was your fault? You're just old and broken.
It was my fault. I sat awkwardly.
Yeah.
I winced in pain, and then didn't think anything of it. And then I woke up and said, "Ouch!" And it's worsened a little bit now. Hopefully, we're at the nadir of pain, and that by tomorrow night at bowling,
$5.
I'll be
You owe about 20.
He doesn't
by
have
the
a
way.
cough button.
No, he
in
was
his
I don't have a
defense.
cough
Yeah,
button.
You
He
owe-
could have leaned away.
I thought he did have a
It
cough.
wasn't even a cough.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah,
he
thank
thinks
you.
that's his intellectual property. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Samson's enraged. now. Greg thinks
Sorry.
he owns that.
We already have our Chew T-shirts at the Greg Cote Show podcast.
You
merch
own
store.
the sneeze?
His body falling apart one sound at a time. He wants the intellectual property. This is him throwing
Sorry.
out his back. And this morning it's ouch when he gets up
Sorry.
because his ankle and his calf hurt.
Ouch.
And his knee. What hurts? Because
The back of, I'd like a medical doctor in the audience to explain to me. The pain is right in the back of my knee. It's on the back of my leg, right beneath the kneecap. And I don't know what muscle that would be.
MCL.
Is that right?
Yeah.
oh, look at
Beneath your
these two
kneecap?
experts. Look at these two
Telling you.
experts.
The MC5 rock group.
Look at the
Detroit.
two of them.
I
just
mean, look it up.
Okay, great.
I think that sounds right.
Great.
MCL.
One of you saying look it up, the other one
sounds
saying
right.
a
that
doctor in the audience. The thing on my knee. Can you give me a prognosis? I'm the laziest possible entertainer. Hey doc, I don't want to call your office and check this out. Can one of our listeners just make me a quick diagnosis? Maybe send me some pills. And Stugotz is over here. MCL. Dan.
Dr. Gotts.
Yeah,
Looks
whatever
like,
it's called, .com.
Looks like pain in the back of the knee can be caused by arthritis or cysts known as Baker's cysts.
Wow.
Oh, that happened to my mother. That's you should get that checked out. That you're an old person.
Baker's cyst?
Did that happen to her sitting down on the couch?
No, she was a strong old woman.
Did
and
she say ouch or
Right.
ow?
That's a key component.
Little ironic, the couch caused the ouch, you know?
Yeah.
So close.
You know, I never thought of that. Yeah.
Sometimes the cow
The ouch.
causes the ow.
Yeah.
It's not.
Sometimes the calf turns into a cow.
Almost always.
Yeah.
Not ironic in any way.
Don't you think?
It could be arthritis.
You guys remember when
mentioned.
Kemba Walker was the last piece for the Celtics? He scored 92 points in a game somewhere overseas.
What?
Yeah.
It is Big East tournament time.
Sorry.
Do you remember when he was going to be the last piece for the Celtics, guys? Because there's a funny argument going on right now where people are saying, why doesn't Jason Tatum get to be an MVP candidate? Draymond Green is saying, you didn't do this to Giannis. You didn't do it to Embiid, Jokic. You make them win a championship. You move the goalposts. You make it harder and harder. Jason Tatum's the best player on what is clearly the best team. What's the argument against him being the MVP of the league when he tells Malik Andrews, I'm the best in the sport. I'm the best player in the sport. And then people point out the metrics of, well, no, you've got the least efficiencies among all your starters. Your jump shot's not going great this season.
He's a Kobe guy. That's Mamba mentality.
Yep.
Not be super efficient and have that mentality.
Just keep shooting.
But the team's plus minus is better when you're off the court than when you're on. The Celtics.
You think the Celtics are better without Jason Tatum?
No.
I mean, Tatum does have.
I just said plus minus. I just gave you numbers. Back off, Tatum, defender.
Sorry.
I do think that Tatum does have some proving of himself to do, and we've seen. I think Steph Curry, to a degree, had some proving to do, and then he did it in the finals, I guess, against Jason Tatum. He doesn't really have these big postseason moments, and there are weird stretches where he kind of you wonder aloud, hey, where's Jason Tatum here? So I do think that he has some narrative building in the postseason.
He's the next guy that needs to win a title, right?
Stugotz, what I can't wait for, right? The Heat win, Jimmy Butler saying it's time, and Celtics fans are running for the mountains because they know they have the best team. There's only one they fear. It cometh this way. They only fear Jimmy Butler. He's the only one. Jimmy, it is nice to see you. We'll get started right here. We have watched your career blossom here at the University of Miami. You've done Miami a lot of pride watching your career, seeing you again with the Saints somehow. We were talking about the revolutionizing of the position, so we'll talk to you about that in a second because you must marvel at Kelsey and Gronk the same way that we do. But you're joining us right now from what looks like a boat, and you've been on a boat for about 15 straight days, right? So can you tell me what it is that you guys I think Billy Gill back there tends to question these things. What is a difficult, rugged boat ride? Yeah, well,
that's unfair to
do
Billy.
have this in your past.
Billy, historically, you say these feats of crossing the ocean aren't that rugged because the boats are, they're J.J. Watt's cabin. Like it's a luxury liner, and that Jimmy Graham's not actually doing something that's hard. You think that's unreasonable skepticism for me?
I said no such thing about Jimmy.
All right.
Graham.
Well, anyways.
He waits till Jimmy's off the air.
Exactly right. I mean, Jimmy, honestly, if we're going to cross the ocean, just hop on a plane.
All right,
it's a lot easier.
Jimmy,
than a boat.
tell us, why did you decide to cross the Arctic Ocean? Thank you for joining us. And how did
That's not the boat you cross on, right, Jimmy, though? Because that's, come on. I could do that.
It's a yacht.
No, one, thank you for having me. And two, this is my sailboat. So eventually, this is the practice boat. I eventually, later in life, plan to sail around the world, but that'll be more of a carbon fiber boat with a lot more speed. What we're doing is going to be in a 30-foot boat. That's an open ocean racer, so it has these two small cabins, and it's incredibly exposed when you're out there rowing, which is going to be obviously very different because the average temperatures, even in the summer, there will be in the 30s. The water will be basically right above freezing. So, it definitely has its difficulties.
Well, but explain this part to me, because why seek this misery, right? You have a very comfortable life. This is, no matter how much we can question what you're doing, you're choosing 15 grueling days. Why?
Well, it first started at a pub in Cambridge. One of my really close friends, Andrew Trope, he's been a Navy SEAL for 23 years. I believe he's been deployed 17 times, and it's always been a life goal of his to cross an ocean. So, we were thrown back a few, and that's when it all kind of started. And then we were approached by Hannah and her husband about this opportunity. And for me, it's everybody has their own reasons to do this. I'm the type of person, I love to push myself. I love new experiences. I love to learn. But for me, the biggest part about this, besides doing it with one of my best friends, is the charities that are going to be involved, that we're going to be donating to as we row and raise money. One of them is called the Covenant House in New Orleans, and I think it houses annually and feeds 650 kids. And for me, I spent some time in some government facilities, and I had a very interesting childhood, and I always look back and wish somebody was rowing for me, and so really for me, that's what's important about this is the cause, and really to show these kids that anything is possible. I myself was right there where they were, and if you believe it and dream it and work as hard as you can, then you can achieve it. So That's one of the biggest things and one of the reasons why I'm doing it.
Okay, and because this is so personal to you, you're choosing to go well outside the comforts of your life. You've arrived at great success. So you're doing this because this cause means something to you. And I'll ask you in a moment about raised by government. What does that mean? What are you rowing for here? But can you tell me the parts of this that you most fear, that people don't understand, how grueling it is to actually cross an ocean for 15 days in a rowboat, even if it's the smallest of the oceans, the Arctic Ocean? What you're choosing to do is dangerous, and also there are parts of this that would scare me and I would not do, no matter what the science is and no matter what storm tracking is.
Are you saying do it in a real ocean?
No.
You sound like you're ocean shaming him, to be
I'm
honest.
saying it's the only one that can be crossed this way in a boat of this size, I think. I think any other way would make it very hard, even harder, correct?
Well, it brings its own challenges. They do race across the Atlantic. They do race across the Pacific. Depending on how this goes, and if we end up securing a couple of world records, then we might end up doing a campaign to do an open ocean race in the Pacific, which the reason why that's very difficult is that is between 40 to 50 days it takes to do that. So there is no, you can track weather, but inevitably you're going to be hit by some type of front. For us, this brings its own issues because of how treacherous that ocean is. We're going to be leaving through the fjords at the top of Norway, and then we're going to basically be heading to a glacier island. And for us, obviously weather, cold, and really just the toll that it takes on your body. Myself, I'll burn between 8,000 to 10,000 calories a day. And so, feeding the beast is definitely going to be number one, but also the sleep deprivation. We only get 2 hours off from rowing. So you get about 90 minutes of sleep at a time, and then you're back rowing again for 2 hours. So it's very difficult in many ways, and obviously very scary. We will train in the Gulf around some of the oil rigs out of New Orleans, and then we're going to bring the boat down here to Miami, and then we're going to go to the Bahamas and train as well in a couple days. So we have to get a lot of certifications and do a lot, raise some money for sponsors as it is to accomplish this, because it is very expensive to do this as far as permitting and the boat itself and everything that goes into attempting something like this. But it's definitely going to be brutal, especially for someone like myself. I'm the only one on the team that's never rowed before. So I have a lot to learn in a very short time.
Jimmy, what is the diet, the 8,000 calorie a day diet? I suspect it's pretty specific.
Yeah, well, it's dehydrated food. So we'll be warming food up. It's almost like astronaut food. So we'll be warming food up, and we have a basically a water maker on board, so we can turn salt into fresh water. That'll be one of my jobs, is being able to fix that if there's any issues. Obviously, if we can't produce water, then we will have to get picked up and rescued. So and obviously I'm lead navigator and comms, so keeping a clear line of communication with our weather team and with our land team to make sure that we stay away from something really, really big. But in case we do get hit by a storm, we will put out a drone chute, which basically is a parachute under the water to basically slow you down and also keep you in the right direction so that the boat won't constantly flip over.
Jimmy, this doesn't seem fun. It seems like torture. It seems like a lot of work. How about just a little walkathon, maybe a 5K, something like that,
Well, I just did 100 miles for cancer on Saturday on my bike. So, for me, it's
I did that too.
No!
He deserved it.
No, he doesn't deserve that. He did a nice thing.
I know.
Yeah, well, it was for cancer for the DCC. So we raised a lot of money. I believe we raised in the 50s or $60 million for the University of Miami Health Cancer Institute.
Jimmy, ridiculous. Awesome. You are
5K,
an American hero choosing unpleasantness because it's the right thing to do. I need people to understand just how difficult this is, that you're choosing to do this ridiculous thing. What is sleep going to be like in stormy seas? How bad is it going to be that the boat's always going to feel like it's capsizing? How bad is it going to be that you're going to sleep 90 minutes a day, if maybe, and food's going to be hard to eat because the seas aren't going to ever be calm?
Yeah, well, we plan to do a lot of obviously testing on sleep, most likely also blood work before and after. We might pair with the Navy SEAL Foundation and try to track all of these things, or there's some other companies that have been reaching out to try and track our overall health through all this. Obviously, we'll be sleep deprived. You know, with that comes hallucinations. Also, we're going to be working extremely hard, rowing 12 hours a day, each one of us, and in the cold. So we're going to burn even more calories. So, you know, figuring out who we are and what we need and how hard we can push ourselves individually is going to be a thing. And then it's obviously an amazing opportunity for teamwork. And we're going to be very close because there's no bathroom. It's a carbon fiber bucket.
Oh no!
So we're going to get to know each other pretty well.
Oh no! Oh no!
So yeah, I mean, this is about as extreme as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely believe that once I do this and once we accomplish this great goal for a great cause, I think sailing around the world for me, it'll make it a lot easier in a luxury yacht with bathrooms and with a cabin and with cover. So. And where we sleep, there's 2 individual pods, one at the bow, one at the stern, and they're not very big. So I got to figure out a way to get comfortable in that. I'll be where the nav station will be. So I think that one's a little bigger, but it's got all the comms, so it gets a little hot in there. But, you know, heat is probably going to help since it'll be so cold.
Jimmy, obviously, we all hope it doesn't come to this, but have you guys given any thought to, let's say something goes wrong?
Mm-hmm.
You're out there, you get marooned, none of these, you know, things that you send out there to get rescued come.
This is dark.
No, I'm just,
I'm
just asking.
Wants to make sure he has a plan.
Yeah, do you look around at your crew with you and say, that's the one we can.
Larry Zonka got lost at the Bering Sea. You football players, you don't have to do these things. You're choosing something that is life risking. And Billy's asking, why are you doing that?
No,
he's asking who he eats.
I'm asking,
whose
if you
life
look around
means the least.
Yeah,
Right.
based on, you know, response. You're a navigator. That seems important. There's a bunch of rowers. Maybe you lose a third rower. And, like, who do you base who you eat based on responsibility, based on body composition? Like, how do you choose?
Draw lots.
No, I mean, we will definitely be in contact with the Norwegian government for any type of emergency situation. You know, they understand those waters, obviously, very treacherous, and they have the ability to come in with helicopters. But this is unassisted. So because of a world record, we can't have a boat follow us. We will be by ourselves. And obviously communicating with our comms, our weather, and our trend navigator is going to be very important. But no one's going to be eaten ever.
Jimmy, we're just saying.
Right, we're just saying.
Don't speak in absolute.
You got to be prepared.
Norwegian government shuts down.
Just start looking. Exactly.
But Jimmy, correct me, please. I feel like this is a bit flippant about life, isn't it? You're doing this for a cause because you are doing something that you know is very risky. It's hard to do. One of the reasons you're doing it is because it's hard to do, but it's not because you don't understand the risk. Hell, Jimmy, I'm listening to you, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to be that cold and wet for 15 days. Never mind everything else.
I'm cold in here.
He did play at Soldier Field.
And Green Bay. It's one
tundra.
of the things where, it's one of the things where I obviously live in Miami. I can't stand the cold, so that's probably going to be the most brutal part for me. But you know, the reason why I'm doing this personally and the reason why this means so much to me is, you know, the first 18 years of my life, I went through many, many things. And when I turned 18, I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make every dream become a reality. And since I've turned 18 and became a man and had full control of my life, I've pushed myself in every way possible to maximize the life that I do have. You know, I think life is beautiful. I think living in America is beautiful. I think being on this earth is beautiful. So I try to maximize every day. And, you know, my life isn't on autopilot. You know, I live on a sailboat. You know, I've got 10 licenses. I run a foundation with a helicopter. You know, I just want to show that same kid that at 12 years old was in this 11 and 12 years old that was dropped off at this facility. You know, that anything's possible. And where I've gone from that point till today, you know, it's almost surreal. And I'm constantly doing more. I'm constantly learning. It's an addiction, learning things and pushing yourself to the absolute limit for me. because for the first 18, I had no control. You know, things were just happening to me very tragically, being dropped off by everybody who was supposed to take care of me. So now, you know, I have this ability to show all those kids that are in that same situation what's possible. You know, between playing multiple sports through college and pros, and now on this new venture of pushing myself in a sport that I've never been a part of. I've never learned how to row. I hate the cold. You know, I mean, for me, it's more about challenging myself and just living every bit of life that I have left to the fullest.
I would like to have a longer conversation with you about the amazing success story that is your life. We will do it the next time because I know you're short on time.
I want to talk about his skin.
What's your routine?
His skin care. You want to talk tight ends with him as well.
God, yeah.
But
shoulders all from rowing?
Yes.
You're going to have a bit of a caloric deficit. How are you going to build your body back up? Free weights?
We have a lot of questions, but the last of them.
Moisturize a lot?
The last of them from me, though, this time is just, can you explain to us, because it obviously means a great deal to you, can you explain to us your formative years that made you value life this way and want to live it to the fullest and be the toughest, how the government failed you, how the government helped you, where are the scars and where is the strength?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the government failed me. You know, I mean, I was lucky enough at times to be, you know, a military kid. So I lived on a lot of bases. I lived on Fort Bragg. I lived in Germany, and I had the ability to, even though we didn't have money, there are these subsidized programs for military kids to have. But in the end, you know, my father left me at a very young age. My stepfather dropped me off on the side of the road, and so did my mother. So through all those people who gave up on me, and through all the people who didn't believe in me, and all the people who said that, you know, I remember one of my relatives told me when I believe I was 7, that one day you're going to need to learn how to beg for quarters. And, you know, so at the age of 37, you know, I'm always sitting here to prove them wrong, and really just to prove to myself, you know, what I can do, what I can learn, how far I can push my body. You know, I think I've been given, you know, this talent to be pretty athletic at my size. And so I know that I only have but so much of that true athleticism left. And I'm going to take every ounce of it to try to do something special for others. And then from there, I'll move on to more of kind of mental things to learn and do and push myself.
Good talking to you, Jimmy. We'll catch up again, sir.
Thank you. I'll come into the studio next time. I appreciate you guys having me, and thank you so much for shining a light on this Arctic Challenge 2025. I really appreciate it, and hopefully you guys can come down to the hangar and fly with my foundation. I'll take you guys up in the Huey.
We would love to help you with
whatever your skincare routine is.
Yeah. Bring that.
Bring some in.
Bring that.
He'll be the new Jason Taylor. You know he smells good on top of everything else.
Well, not after shitting in a bucket for 2 months.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Put that on the poll, please.
Have
you ever been friends enough with anybody to share a carbon fiber bucket with? That's deeply unpleasant. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you so much.
I think I did that at Doak after like 7 Miller Lights.
I've done it at a Dead show.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Good luck, Jimmy. Thank you.
Love you.
No commentary on what you look like. I want somebody to comment on what you look like. Like when you say love you, I wonder if Jimmy Graham leaves college and he's like, man, that Le Batard Show is aged. Who's that guy in the front row? I listened to those guys when I was in college, and who's that Ben Franklin? Who's the George Washington in the corner? That visual joke all show today, you've had me smiling because of how ridiculous you look as the Larry David.
Billy, did he convince you? Do you believe Jimmy? Now that he's gone, you can give your true feelings?
Yeah, believe him on what?
Mm-hmm.
I never said any such thing about Jimmy Graham. I just came here. I was sitting down minding my own business. I wasn't doing anything.
It's body of
Who's
work.
the guy
though,
on the one
yeah.
show? It's
Billy,
that one.
Historically, Billy, when someone crosses an ocean, you're skeptical. I think that's where skeptical Billy was born. Look, I've got a couple of origin stories here, okay? Forgive me for just a second because I want to get to this audio from last night of Monty Williams. The original Look at Me Louie, I remind you. Monty Williams, who now makes $78.5 million with the Pistons, is the original Look at Me Louie. Amin Al Hassan was brave enough to say the world's nicest man, someone that everyone loves, that this person, by going into the locker room after a series that he had lost to say congratulations to the winners, that he's the original Look at Me Louie. Last night he was robbed, and this is a nice man. And him being enraged about the officiating, you know he is totally right. Nothing he is saying is wrong. The Pistons were robbed up and down last night. And later in the show, we're going to talk to our new Knicks correspondent, Sam Morril, about just what is happening with the New York Knicks who won last night. Because this is as angry as any of us have seen Monty Williams, correct? Like, none of us... this is original nice guy, Stugotz.
He's upset he didn't win his 9th game of the season. I mean,
they're a scrappy 8-win bunch.
They are a scrappy 8-win.
Scrappy.
He should actually thank the referees. He should thank whoever he needs to thank. That's a good loss for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
scrappy means.
Well,
you're
but
awful.
did you see the end of the game though? Like
No,
it was. I mean, okay. Well, but
who watches the end of a Pistons game?
Well, the Knicks,
were playing. That's why he was asking me.
Who were you working with?
Okay.
Right now?
I mean, look. I mean,
laughing in your face.
Come on.
Great finish.
Come on. Last night, and there was one sports story in the NBA. It's your team, Stugotz.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know this little about the things happening in the sports world?
But to Greg's point, the Pistons.
Okay. So
Is that protest still out there? They haven't ruled on that yet?
At the end of the game last night, this is a clear and obvious foul. The Pistons have won the game or should get the game. And after the Knicks were robbed in a Rockets game, they, too, had an official complaint and an appeal that they should win because of the bad officiating at the end of a game.
The refs owed him one.
Thank you, Stugotz, for even less than you just gave me before.
Lamar owed him one.
Thank you for giving me even less than you did moments ago. You guys are at the top of your game, but it's a clear and obvious foul. He's got the ball, and then there's no call, and then this is how the Knicks win, and it's ridiculous, and there's the end one. And New York gets the storyline it needs and deserves. They got their call back from the other night. Mike, why are you Good one. You're on fire. Mike, why are you shaking your head?
That's a brutal call. It's bad. It's real bad. They had the game won, or at least they were headed to the line. That stinks.
Here's Monty Williams at the end of the game. You have to understand this isn't just your common everyday coach going off about the officiating. This is a man who always represents the league well. This is a man who is viewed by all as a reason for respect. He is having a tough go of it, man. He got a record-breaking contract. That team stinks. And he's in New York, and he just got robbed, and here he is, and he is pissed off, and it hurts more when the nice guys, the guys who are always about your league, when they get pissed off.
Where's the New York media now? The absolute worst call of the season. No call. And enough's enough. We've done it the right way. We've called the league. We've sent in clips. We're sick of hearing the same stuff over and over again. We had a chance to win the game, and the guy dove into Asar's legs, and there was a no call. That's an abomination. You cannot miss that in an NBA game, period. And I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of our guys asking me, what more can we do, coach? That situation is Exhibit A to what we've been dealing with all season long, and enough's enough. You cannot dive into a guy's legs in a big-time game like that and there be a no call. It's ridiculous, and we're tired of it. We just want a fair game called, period. And I got nothing else to say. We want a fair game, and that was not fair. I'm done.
It really does mean more coming from him.
Does it?
Wow.
I mean,
it does. It does. I kind of really feel bad for. I want to go and support Monty Williams and the Detroit Pistons, and I know exactly how. I'm going to open up my Game Time app, and I think I saw on that graphic over there that they're going to be in town here on March 5th. Mm-hmm. Wow, look at that. Flash deals available. All-in pricing, $23 a get-in price, and you can actually see your view from that seat. I want to thank Game Time because they've re-upped because of all the love our audience has given them. Thank you so much, audience, and thank you so much,
sponsor.
Game Time. They're a great sponsor. Download the Game Time app now. Create an account. Go watch Monty Williams and the Pistons and use code Dan for $20 off your first purchase.
What do you mean no?
Do you realize that if you use that promo code...
What do you mean no?
I don't want to watch the Pistons. I don't want Monty Williams telling me after the game, after his 49th loss of the season, that the reason they're going through this season is because of the referees. I don't want to hear it. You know what's unacceptable? Being the highest paid coach in the NBA and your team being 8-49.
What was the code? Just out of curiosity.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, so I do want to see the Pistons, and if I create an account for the first time, I use that. I use code Dan. I get $20 off my first purchase. That means that Pistons game is $3. Terms apply. Last-minute tickets, I always check for last-minute tickets because people are always trying to load those off. So make sure you head on over there. Lowest price guaranteed. I love Game Time. Thank you so much.
Stugotz. The
What
playoffs are coming up here, and you're going to have to be slightly less lazy than my team is the story of the sport tonight, and I don't know what you're talking about. Can you be slightly 1% less
When we get
worse?
to the second season, yeah.
Less worse than that?
Yeah.
You can't do
Yeah.
better than that?
Right.
That's the best you
They're
can
not going
do?
to play the Pistons in the postseason, I promise you.
That's the best you can do. Greg Cote, are you going to rescue us? I would really love some rescue here from just the profound, unending laziness that is the two of you knowing nothing about sports while still cashing sports checks.
Yeah.
Do you have a back in my day to rescue us today?
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hurt his
Yeah,
knee.
I do.
Do you
What?
have,
No, I do.
With a hurt knee.
do you
huh?
have a no you
Tuesday.
can offer up after I say a prompt to download an app? Because that's helpful.
I just said no to the game, the Pistons,
you
not
just
the app.
you
I mean,
probably
come
listened
on.
during a
All
read.
right.
All people.
Stugotz.
Of all people,
let-
built
all right,
his
let-
career
That's
on
a
live
penalty
spots.
box, right? That's a penalty box.
Listen,
It's
all
gotta
I
be.
said is no.
Mike.
I don't want to see the
Mike,
Pistons.
With the
All right.
worst
I
timing
love
possible.
Game Time app.
Let me stop for a second. Stugotz. 5-minute major. Go sit in the median
minutes
across the street.
For
Go
not
sit,
wanting to see
go
the
sit.
Pistons?
No, Stugotz. Go sit in the median.
Right.
In the middle of the street.
Right. Which one?
For 5 minutes.
Which street?
You've just given him a smoke break.
That's
all you've
fine.
done.
Go smoke a cigarette
Two.
out there. That's fine. We'll do the show without him. It can be done. And the reason is
Been the case for 10 years.
the reason is because I value more than ever the sponsors that you do not. And Game Time has been legitimately good for us. You have no idea about these things because you're just looking for your latest grift where you can sell your book that you're not
I
writing.
was looking for my keys and my cigarettes.
You can leave. Go. Like, what
It's
are
going
you
to take you a little bit to walk down.
What are you doing?
I care very much about Game Time. I don't care about the Pistons.
Go, please. Sit in the street.
Well, not in the street, in the median.
In the median, yeah.
I'd be
Where the camera shot
I'd
is.
honestly be okay with the street. I'd
Oh,
be
don't
okay.
say that.
Don't say
wait,
that,
no,
Dan.
I mean, that's mean.
You all right?
Yeah, sorry.
Bless you.
Mike, it's not an at you. It's okay. I am offended by what Stugotz just did there because I keep telling the sponsors like the relationships with us.
And that was such a great organic place for it.
Independent brands need the support of their sponsors and their independent audiences. We have a very good one in Game Time, and our audience, as it always does, supports the brands that support us. So he should not say, no, don't download the game.
Yeah. Well, he was saying no to the Pistons, but his timing couldn't have been worse. It was just really bad out of him. You'd expect more.
He's a professional salesman.
No, not really.
Well,
he's a con
paid,
artist.
Yeah. I bought Don Omar tickets on Game Time.
Oh,
it's
did
not
you?
just sports. You can do concerts,
Oh, yeah.
comedy, all kinds of things.
Big concert guy.
Yep.
Wow. How about that?
I'm going to the trilogy tour.
Really?
Yeah. Second leg of the concert. I would have rather seen them down here in Miami.
Yeah.
Enrique, Ricky Martin, and Pitbull. But I'm going to actually go up and see them in Sunrise. I cannot wait for that.
Wait, they're coming back down?
Yeah.
When's
2
this?
weeks. March 8th.
Really?
Yeah. Cessa Cyclones conflict. I'm going to probably, Chris, I need you to cover that one for me because, as you know, I'm a big gearhead. Wow. And Pitbull just conquers every industry he goes into. Did anybody congratulate Pitbull for winning at Atlanta Motor Speedway?
Incredible.
Congratulations.
He did that.
What a time.
He did that.
How's Pitbull going to have a concert the same day? I guess his team's off that day.
He actually never ended up getting a highlight team.
What?
Which is weird because the team's named the Fireballs. Yeah. But, it's there. The key's under the mat.
Huh.
Oh, so
They kind of merged it, like without telling anyone. He went from owning a team to being like an ambassador for the league.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he's
Who got
Mr.
the team?
Worldwide.
Mr. Red?
Mr. Red
Yes,
has a
actually.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a bone to pick with Mr. Red.
Why?
Because I was at the last game, and Mr. Red sent his people to talk to me. As opposed to just like straight up talking.
What does
to
that
me.
mean? He sent his people to talk to you.
He's like, hey, I represent Mr. Red. I'm watching a highlight game. Yeah. just totally unexpected to hear the words, hey, I represent Mr. Red. It'd be great to get him on the show. I'm like, cool.
Making the big contacts?
Huh.
Working your way up in the game?
Yeah. It's just, Keith Bogans was there.
How can Stugotz not
He wants to be on South Beach Sessions.
How can Stugotz not know that...
Got any questions for Keith Bogans? I kind of promised him.
You never know who you're going to find in that center chair.
It's always wild.
It's like they put the two teams, and then there's just this little center couch area. The most random people show up.
When I went, it
Keith
was El
Bogans
Duque.
is dying to talk to you.
El Duque's been there a bunch.
Yeah. Great golfer.
What are you guys doing? So this is
They're luminaries.
This is Miami Media Sports Elite, sort of legends of the game, where you guys are sitting next to people whose history you know because they've been conquerors in sports. Ray Lewis was there.
I'm assuming it's people that are paid to be there.
No. These are owners, luminaries, people that go there for the love of the game. Yeah, Dan, you remember a time here. Greg certainly remembers a time where all South Florida luminaries, their big weekend plans were to go over to the Fronton and watch some highlights.
Of course.
Chris Cote paid to be
Well,
there.
they're basically giving away free money. You go in, they give you money that you can gamble on the game. No risk.
I'm actually going on Sunday.
What?
Because we have family days now. There's a Sunday, and I've been told that it's the only day of the week that you can actually bet real cash.
And your kids can
at
run
the Magic City.
Your kids can run the Fronton after.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Oh. Sunday fun day.
Storm the court.
No, we know how to stop that. Although Corbaio will embellish.
Arrest them all! He's waving to people out there, smoking a cigarette, enjoying. It's lovely out there today. The last few days around here have been like California. He's enjoying sitting on a stump.
Is that a joint?
Smoking a cigarette.
There is a high probability that police tell him to move during this segment.
Cars are whizzing by him.
I don't think that's the median either. I think that's one of my favorite moments at ESPN was him very dangerously standing on a rooftop in a bar holding a misspelled sign wanting to get on air on Highly Questionable, and he could have parasailed right off of the roof because it was a liability. He had to sign a bunch of paperwork. He is in real danger there. We have more pedestrian deaths than anywhere.
That is a median, though.
Okay.
Can confirm.
All right, so he's in the median.
So if he gets struck by a car, the driver is at fault.
I will blame someone else as I.
How small he is in this world.
I threw him in the street. He will be returning, smelling of cigarettes and sweat as he has for a while now. We have a back in my day to get to, but Mike Ryan's complaining about this, and he made an embarrassment out of everything Meadowlark Media and business partnership related when he went so strongly at Paul Pierce the other day. And now Knicks fans are about to get loud. This is the most annoying viral strain there is in I'm going to say, down here in general. I was trying to get to the point earlier telling you what these Heat teams do. New York's been dying to be relevant since Pat Riley left there. They were for a couple of years, and they've been really loud with a playoff win here and there. They are dying to topple the Heat.
Well, Stugotz isn't, but
they are
the
dying.
rest of them
No, but this is my point is I need Stugotz to keep up in the media game where everyone wants to talk New York basketball, but Mike Ryan is mad at me because everyone in New York has a podcast now to talk New York basketball.
Dan, I think you're doing a very brave thing. As you know, New York Knicks fans, I mean, totally on an island to themselves. Yeah. No real platforms nationally or on podcasts to tout their New York Knicks fandom. So I think you're actually doing a great service, and you're servicing a really underutilized part of the media, Knicks fans.
You and Jimmy Graham right here, basically.
The best part of this is that no one actually thinks that they're going to win the championship. Everyone is saying the thing of...
Except for them.
This is the best they've been in a long time, but still, that's the best part about this.
They will talk themselves into beating Boston just like last year. They would have talked themselves into beating the Heat, and they played the Heat harder than anybody played the Heat, but they too would be terrified of the Miami Heat.
I would say the Nuggets, most would. And the Celtics did take the Heat to 7. The Knicks just barely got to 6 because Jimmy Butler decided to sit a game out, and the Heat still almost beat them. But yeah, no, it's great. The Knicks fandom is a special one, and the game probably does actually need them now. For the first time, you can actually say the game of basketball might be better with the Knicks being good. And thankfully, they have a good team because they have 2 conference championships in the last 30 years. The Miami Heat, crown jewel of the Eastern Conference, have 7. You understand? 7. Celtics 3, Knicks 2. You combine their Eastern Conference championships, as long as many of our audience members have been alive, they don't have as much as the Miami Heat do in your lifetime. 7.
My point is, over many, not many administrations, but many classes.
Let's add the Sixers in there. Combine them, 6. Miami Heat 7.
They are the cream of the conference, and what I was saying earlier, when Sacramento loses for 22 years, when Charlotte wins 2 playoff series, it's not normal to change, not administrations, but your roster over and over again and continue to get excellent results. The Knicks have arrived here now into this conversation. Miami's been here since Pat Riley left there. It's been a 20-year run. It's good to have New York in that conversation again. Greg Cote, your Back in My Day is ready?
It is.
All right. What's it? I can't wait to hear this. What's this about? That's fine. Good timing.
Well, you said he couldn't wait.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guy, Greg Cote, with Back in My Day.
Waterbeds. Ask somebody today if they have a waterbed. It's about the same look you'd get if you asked if they drive a Mercury Bobcat or an AMC Hornet. Waterbeds were really, really popular, especially with the in crowd, back when people said the in crowd. That was back when all the guys looked like Cheech or Chong and everybody, including your pet dog, was sucking smoke out of a bong. The waterbed was invented by a guy in San Francisco, of course, patented in 1971, and popular throughout that decade and well into the 80s. At its peak, almost 25% of all beds sold in America were flotation mattresses. Now it's barely 2%, and most of those are related to medical rehab. What happened? The waterbed was cool once, embraced first by hippies and the free-spirited free love movement before it caught on in the suburbs. Bump, chicka, bump, bump, if you catch my drift. Or to be specific,
It's not a drift anyone wanted.
Baby! Unmistakably, there was a sexual element. Hugh Hefner, in the prime of Playboy, famously had a waterbed. Trippy bands like the Jefferson Airplane did, too. Advertising for waterbeds in the swingin' 60s made it clear. One famous ad slogan was, 2 things are better on a waterbed. One of them is sleep. The waterbed boom was starting just as the bump, chicka, bump, bump was dawning in Greg Cote's life.
You made it a game show sound. You made it.
And he tried one out in his friend's off-campus apartment. Hated it. Don't get me wrong, I can sleep on anything. I've slept on a bed of nails. I don't need any bells or whistles.
What?
Don't need a foam memory bed that outlines my body like a victim at a crime scene. Don't need sleep number bed. Certainly don't need a water bed that to me was like trying to fall asleep or do anything else, wink, wink, on a raft in the middle of an ocean. Similarly, back in my day, a lot of roadside motels and lower-level hotels had vibrating beds. Creepy! So waterbeds ran their course, and for a number of reasons. New mattress technology made non-waterbeds better. Waterbeds were high maintenance with the possibility of leaking and property damage and algae and mold. Many apartment complexes banned them. Moving them was a bitch. For me, even the squishy, sloshing sound they made was weird. To install one, you had to run a hose into the bedroom. The whole thing was bizarre. This is where I'd usually say, bring back the waterbed. No, don't do it. You go ahead and ride the waves to sleep. I shall repose on the firm, dry land, thank you. I'm Greg Cote, and that's how it was back in my day.
I slept on a bed of nails. Was that necessary?
I did once. But you know what?
It's another $5.
No, the nails weren't super sharp. Like they round off the nail. So technically you're sleeping on a bed of nails, but they make it tolerable. It's weird like that. You can do that. Anybody can sleep on a bed of nails.
It's all weight distribution, right?
It's all weight distribution, but also they're not super sharp.
This is the new improved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Yeah, pretty good.
I don't know.
What's up, Sam? Let me turn you
All right.
This is our last segment of the show, so we got to be tight on the clock here.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
No, that was not to you. That was just Stugotz.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what it meant, but I agreed to be
keep it tight,
quick
Sam.
Quick and concise.
Tight, yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
Your count, Dan.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's got shows coming up this weekend in Salt Lake City. He's got 4 shows early next month in Boston. That's going to be fun. I'm sure he's going to rile up Celtics fans going in there strong and heavy as a Knicks fan.
He's got a T-shirt with Mike Breen on it.
That's right. He is
Nice.
he is auditioning to be the Knicks fan, the greatest Knicks fan there is. He's also auditioning to be our Knicks correspondent. He's got a Netflix special, same time tomorrow. Sam Morril is on with us. We will see if Desist and Mero compete for this position. But we are proud. Yeah. We're proud to have you here. You enraged Stephen A. Smith fans last time you were on, but Knicks fans thought you were a conquering hero. You became a stronger voice in the Knicks universe than you had been, right? Are you still feeling like lightheaded from how you rode around on that white stallion on behalf of Knicks fans?
It's better than cocaine. I mean, the hatred of Stephen A. Smith only riled up the Knicks faithful. And by riling up Stephen A. Smith fans, you mean people with a collective IQ of under 80. So I'm okay with that.
Oh, no.
Yes, I am taping a special. I'm taping a special next week in Boston. That's the ultimate Knicks fan heat check. I'm fired up for the Knicks right now. We're injured and we keep winning.
How does this work for you, though, Sam? Because when you go into Boston, this seems like an allegiance to you that's a bit unreasonable. I don't know if you have any other relationships like this anywhere in entertainment. Your identity is tied up in this team being good this year, and you're going into Boston looking for a fight, are you not? You like that there's that decades-backed racist tension coming to fight you with the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, decades back, sure, if you say so. I guess there's only racism in Boston in the 60s. Whatever you say, Dan. They've cleaned up their act and they're good to go now. I mean, I don't know. They're a great team, the Celtics. What can I say? They beat us on Saturday. We're down 3 starters. Isaiah Hartenstein is not 100%, but they're a hell of a team. I can't take anything away from them. They're a great basketball team.
Can you explain to us what happened last night? Let's play this video and this audio for him because Monty Williams, I also want to get into Monty Williams. People, when nice guy Monty Williams starts complaining about the officiating, you got a real officiating problem. But here's the end of the game here.
Wait. He's making $80 million and he's won 8 games this season. He shouldn't be complaining about anything.
Yep.
I love you, Monty. You're an ex-Knick. We have nothing but respect for you. But I could have won the same amount of games this year for $5 million a year. I'll take $5 million and I'll win you 8 games by just telling Cade Cunningham to shoot. I think that would work.
You can name a Piston, huh?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's just play the end of the game here. Not the Monty Williams sound just yet, but just the end of the game here. Do you want to try the play-by-play here? Do you want to take a crack at the most factually correct version of it? All right, let's see what we've got.
I'll be completely unbiased here. Let's do it. A rare miss by Jalen Brunson. A loose ball, and oh my God, Isaiah Hartenstein saves it. And now a pass stolen by Osir. And a completely legal Goldberg spear by Dante DiVincenzo, and an and one by Josh Hart. Oh my God, the Knicks win. Okay, fine. So we got away with one. What do you want from me? So I guess now the Pistons won't make the playoffs. What a big deal. This doesn't really. This doesn't compare to the call. A no call is not the same as a blown whistle that happened to us in Houston just recently. Aaron Holiday shooting a 3 that was not a foul on Jalen Brunson. We lost the game because of that. The NBA evens out every once in a while, and the basketball gods, I guess, smiled on us for once. Depleted, we beat a bad Pistons team, but we needed that W, man. Grimes came in and was killing us in the 4th. I still love Quentin Grimes. Once a Knick, you're always a Knick.
You're scared of the Miami Heat, yes?
I think the Heat are tough. They always scare me a little bit. They're hot lately. Spo is undeniably one of the greatest coaches, I think. And I got to admit, they always do scare me. I do think we're a better team than we were last year, but the Heat are tough. The Heat and the Celtics are probably the team as a Knicks fan that scare me the most. The Bucks, I'm not buying the Bucks, and I'm not buying Doc. Doc Rivers is like, for a dude who's willing to trade his son, you think he'd be a better coach. You think he'd be like more cutthroat. You know what I mean? But he's just like, he doesn't scare me.
Sam, I'm stunned to hear you say that just because of this, okay? For no other reason and overly simplistic. I know they've been bad at basketball, bad at defense. But if you give me Giannis and Damian Lillard in any incarnation throughout the history of time, the Knicks need to fear that combination and not ever feel like they can beat those two guys. Not in any incarnation of the Knicks I've seen.
I think if we're ranking the teams I'm scared of, they're third I'm most scared of. I think it's Celtics, Heat, and then the Bucks, and then probably Philly in the East. I think the Knicks, I'm not scared of the Cavs. The Cavs don't have a tough guy. You need a tough guy to win a playoff round. Mitchell Robinson toyed with Jared Allen. Julius beat up Evan Mobley. Josh Hart beat up the great Donovan Mitchell. I think size and toughness play a role in the playoffs.
Do you have an opinion on what is happening right now with Jason Tatum as face of the league stuff? Jason Tatum is saying he's the best player in the league.
He's anointed himself as face of the league. You don't get to do that. That's like giving yourself a nickname. It doesn't work. He's like, do I think I'm the best player of the league? Yes. And we're like, cool, you're not. You can think that. You're not top 5. I'm sorry. No one in the league is taking him over Gilgeous-Alexander, over if we're talking young guys. You want to build a team? I'm taking Ant over him. I'm sorry. You're like neck and neck with Devin Booker. I guess due to length, you get the nod over Booker, maybe. I'm not taking him over Luka. I mean, there's just too many dudes that I would take. I mean, obviously Jokic and Embiid are ahead of him. I've just named 5 easy. You're not the face of the league. It's like, why? Because we're so xenophobic, it has to be an American guy.
Well, what's he saying about MVP, though? Like when Draymond Green is saying, and I don't have the sound here for you, but Draymond Green is saying, why are we moving the goalposts on Jason Tatum? We don't have to get a championship from him to include him in an MVP conversation. He's the best player on the best team.
You know why he's saying that? Because they beat him in the finals. That's why he's saying that. Draymond is like, it's like a classic dude who could be nice to a guy that he's beaten up. That's why he's doing it. I don't think, fine, best player in the best team. I guess, you know, we've done that in the past, but they have too many good players to make him MVP. I'm sorry, we're awarding Jason Tatum because he doesn't drop 30 a night. He doesn't have to. That's a privilege. Jalen Brunson has to drop 30 a night because we're depleted right now. You got Tatum. And by the way, if it's game 7, Knicks Celtics, I trust Jalen Brunson more than I trust Jason Tatum.
Oh my God!
I do.
Oh,
Sam, well
Sam,
yes.
Sam, you're getting Sam.
I do.
Sam, that's aggressive. Sam, that's an aggressive take. Sam,
go Knicks.
Sam.
So I think they have so much. I'm sorry, the Celtics. You don't get to be in the MVP conversation when you have maybe the best perimeter guard defense in the last 20 years, dude. You got Drew Holiday and Derek White. Elite defenders, maybe both All-NBA this year. And then you got Porzingis at the 5, who I still have a fondness for as a Knicks fan. And I have a fondness for Holiday. It really annoys me that they got those two guys. And you got Jaylen Brown, another all-star. I mean, I'm sorry, you're not in the MVP conversation. It's great you have a great record. It's, on paper, one of the best starting 5s of the last 20 years, I'd say. You're not in the MVP combo. Was Durant in the MVP convo when he was on the Warriors?
No.
Exactly.
Yep.
He was the best player on the best team.
Sam, here's the big question. Would you draft Bronny if it meant you could get LeBron James to the Knicks?
No.
What?
Where are we putting him? We have
putting Bronny on the bench. I mean.
Well, where are we putting LeBron? I just don't really want LeBron. I think he's a distraction. I think we have a culture.
What is happening? Mike, what is happening? Mike, hold on. Mike. Mike, what is happening now where Knicks fans don't want LeBron? Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry, because when you were really hot and you passed on us and now you got a few more pounds on you and we're like, yeah, that's how it happens, dude.
Yeah, but Sam, what if we get knocked out Eastern Conference semifinals, Game 7, and, you know, Brunson isn't as good as you think he's going to be in a Game 7, and then you feel like you're a LeBron away. What do you do then?
I'm not saying we don't need another guy. I'm saying why does it have to be a guy who's going to be 40 next year?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
You don't
I'm
want
also
LeBron
not going
James
to cast
over Josh Hart.
Who, are they making the same money? No, they're not. I'm not comparing them to each other. I'm saying I love Josh Hart though. But yeah, the same reason you're not casting a 65-year-old to start a James Bond franchise. That's why I don't want LeBron on the Knicks. All right, I don't want a 40-year-old as my primary ball handler. I don't want him. LeBron's a great player, but I don't want him on the Knicks. He had his moment, and I'm sorry. Are the Lakers a good team? Am I missing something? Why are we talking about them like they're a good team?
Yeah, you have made a lot of good points. You are injured. You do keep winning. I mean, thankfully, that call yesterday, you went from 3-7 in your last 10 to now 4-6. So you're really finding a good groove, just 2.5 up on the Miami Heat.
Right. Well, unlike
you,
we actually been. Yeah, we're hurt. We're not suspended like you degenerates. We actually have injuries on our team. Mitchell Robinson. The great OG Anunoby and Julius Randle. When we're back, look out. It's coming, dude.
Sam, only Dallas and Memphis have had more different lineups than the Miami Heat. You haven't had more injuries than other people.
And I've told you're the second team I'm most scared of in the East. What more do you guys want? I admit you're a scary team. You're a tough team. Jimmy Butler is a killer. Bam is a great two-way player. What else do you got great shooters. I don't know how I feel about the Rozier move. I don't think it's amazing. It wasn't like,
yeah.
It's what?
It's a great point. I don't like Rozier.
Yes.
Okay. So you may not like everything I say, but we root for different teams, and I think I'm being fairly unbiased.
You were actually being quite kind to the Miami Heat's chances. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I think Spo is a scary coach, and I like Heat culture. I'm a Knicks fan. Like, we want that to be our culture. That's Tibbs runs a tough ship. It's a similar type of culture, I think.
Sam, you're kicking ass so far. You're the only one who has gotten any Knicks correspondent love around here. Same time tomorrow is the Netflix special. And again, Salt Lake City, 4 shows early next month in Boston. He will for sure sell those out. SamMorril.com. Thank you, sir.
That's a special tape, and I'm taping a special next week, so it's going to be fun.
I can't wait till you go after Boston. That should look good. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, Greg, that segment.
Chris Cote, I cannot tell you how much, okay? I'm leaving here with a giant smile on my face.
Pretty good show.
Because Jimmy Graham and Sam Morril are looking into our shipping container, and they think suddenly Ben Franklin is the new executive producer.
Neither of them said anything.
No, this is what I love. They're both looking in here.
Chair ages you.
They're both looking in here.
You do bear a resemblance to a former AP.
How can no one see you and comment?
Where's my schmucko?
Can I get you? I want to try this. I'd like for you to
first?
do this punishment more to see if at any point anyone comments on you not on the center of our show being an 80-year-old founding father. But
the time of our lives.
The other thing I wanted to get to that, Billy, I don't know where you stand on all this, but this really backfired on David Samson, because I think my favorite moment of today's show is David Samson ceasing and desisting, bringing a lot of lawyer talk, and Greg Cote somehow undermining him with a single bidet and just crippling his argument. And it was stunning to watch.
There's nothing you could do after that.
It was stunning to watch. A single bidet. Greg Cote, you've coughed a lot. You owe $15 today.
What?
You owe Jessica $15.
Why?
Yes, because you've coughed into the microphone.
Why do I owe her money? Sorry.
Because all of the money is going into the fine bucket. The fine bucket was stolen. I then won the fine bucket, and as part of the grid of death punishment, I just said she get all the money here because someone around here stole the rest of the money.
But not forever. I mean, that just ended
until
then.
the next person pulls it.
Well, then there's no more money.
I know.
If she gets it all.
I know, and then I
Well,
will have
here's
been
$5.
and I will have been the only
Well
one
done,
who
Greg.
suffered.
Yep.
Here you go.
Because
Here's $5.
I was the only one who was fined. Yes. So because someone stole the money, I take the hit for the entire company.
Well, I rule with an iron fist, and that's not the way it works. It's basically as soon as you pull it, you get whatever money's in there, and
Thank
then
you,
it
Billy.
starts accumulating for the next person to pull.
But I offered on a day you weren't here ruling with an iron fist. I offered because I thought it was wrong that she was getting no money because it had been stolen by a fellow employee.
Who stole it?
I don't know.
It's a good question.
I don't know.
You don't have cameras around here? Security cameras?
Because someone here stole the fine money, I decided that my future fines and all future fines would go straight to Jessica while I was the one and the owner of the fine bucket. Now I own the fine bucket, and the next person that comes along will start fresh. There will be no money in the fine bucket.
No.
Well, then we're just repeating the problem.
Right.
But the problem is that someone stole the fine bucket.
Well, that's another problem. That's an independent problem. One that we should look into.
Yeah. Look, historically, not the way it goes, but go for it, man.
Bring a polygraph in here.
Chris, I would like for you to do the show again this way tomorrow.
I'd rather we don't do that.
Big Joe Harper. Bring him back.
What was the best one that looked most like you? Because Ben Franklin, there were a number of videos.
Larry David, I'd say.
Oh, this Mark Hochman is pretty good.
Time of our lives.
I don't know where this came from. But look, this is the new executive producer. Look, your new. This could be your new character. New executive producer, Mark Hochman. This could be. And this is the way to do it. Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, time of our lives. Schmuckums?
That's all you got, huh?
It's his Instagram story. That's all I have.
I got it.
By the way, you said Chris looks like something. It'd be really helpful if you guys send looks like suggestions because our tournament starts in like 2 weeks.
Oh my God, I saw this.
It is a leap year though.
We've got no chance.
You have an extra day.
Yeah,
I do. It's not me.
Who's in charge of that?
Not
That's
it.
going to be a rough crew. Are
Nope.
we going to even be able to do this after the Super Bowl?
Well, it was sold, so we're doing it.
I had another idea for the tournament.
What's that?
All-time guests on the show.
Cool. Well,
all right, you're in charge of that.
Well,
I
it was
that.
sold.
All right. I mean, we just need to do a tournament.
Yeah. Okay.
Of looks like of 100 jokes that Adam McKay and Mike Schur haven't been able to write ones that are good enough to get in the tournament. You think that's going to be easy to do in 2 weeks?
Well,
Writing
Chris-
comedy?
Chris wants to do favorite guests. I think he just said.
No, I'm just throwing it out there, guys. I'm just saying.
It's a good idea.
We've been doing the same thing for a bunch of years. Our all-time guests, top seeds, two seeds.
I think this is how you put your imprint. You change it.
Mm-hmm. To the one that's not sold.
But dressed like that. All you have to do is dress like that. The thing that we never got to that I'm bumming about that we never got more to is Chris, we've got a genuine problem with your father. He's got a cease and desist. He's not respecting it, but your father is in litigation now. Right? There's litigation involved in Greg Cote and this conflict with Meadowlark Media.
Hee-haw, 3, ba-dap.
That kind of thing.
He landed it.
Exactly, that kind of thing.
You never know.
You never know.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.